Hey everybody, welcome to our anniversary live stream. I am Sandy Gardner.
And I am Ben Lesnick. Apologize for being a few minutes late, but it wouldn't be a CIG live stream if we were on time. But thank you for joining us. This is the third anniversary live stream. It's hard to believe we've been doing this for 3 years. Yes.
Three backwards.
There you go.
Got a balloon and everything. Spared no expense.
Instead of being an E, it's 3 now.
And of course we have Chris himself.
Yep. Hello, everyone. So, great number 3 here, and it's actually much better than the very first time we did this because foolishly we thought a 24-hour live stream would be a really great way to end the initial crowdfunding campaign, which seemed like a good idea for the first 10 hours or so, and afterwards became less of a good idea, as there's quite some famous pictures of myself and I think Ben falling asleep in the middle of the live stream.
Oh, come on. It's after 3 years, people forgot about that finally.
So this time we decided, well, 3 hours would probably be a good amount of time, and we're starting at 11 o'clock, which I believe Pacific, which is the same time we started the live stream back 3 years ago. But yeah, it's amazing. So it's thank you guys. I mean, we're able to build so much of a bigger, a more ambitious game, both Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. With your guys' support, I never would have dreamed that we could have, had such an incredible team that's helping us do that, and it's all because of your guys' support. I never would have guessed that we'd have had such a big community and such an enthusiastic community. So it's amazing. This live stream's nice. We did CitizenCon not that long ago, back on October 10th, which was the start of our crowdfunding, the anniversary of the start of our crowdfunding campaign, and that was really great fun to show you guys sort of where we'd been with 2.0 and unveil the cast on Squadron 42, and also just meet a lot of you. So I think we have the best and most supportive community in gaming, and I think we're blazing trails for everybody, and thank you guys for your support. And we have I think a really good show. We're going to show you some cool new stuff, and hopefully have some pretty good news for you at the end of the live stream. So
We're actually just going to leave you now with just the lamp.
Yeah, the lamp actually
for 2.5
does very
hours,
good,
and then the last half hour. No, we're not. Lucky lamp.
Yeah, well, we all went to dinner that time, and I think we came back and we'd raised something like $500,000 or something crazy. So the lamp is by far better at selling things than any of the three of us. Anyway. So, Ben, do you want to sort of give a heads up of what we'll be doing this?
Sure thing. I mean, we have a little bit of everything for you today. We're going to be talking about Alpha 2.0 later. We're going to be showing you some material from Squadron 42. I know PC Gamer has spoiled some of the surprise this morning, but we've got some cool stuff to show you. We're going to update you on some new ships, some old ships, all sorts of updates. But first, it's been a heck of a year. We've just made leaps and bounds in Star Citizen in the past 12 months. From the inside, it's really incredible to see 2.0 coming together and kind of giving people a glimpse, their first real glimpse of everything at once. And we shot Squadron 42, the mocap shoot this year. Our German studio came online. It's been very exciting.
No, busy. I think we finally have sort of the sort of critical mass on the team. I mean, we got some incredibly talented people working all through the on Star Citizen Squadron 42 through our 4 studios. So as Ben said, the German studio came online this year, and they made a huge contribution in terms of helping with some of the underlying tech that you'll see in 2.0 and going forward in the game. They're also working on some other really cool tech that we haven't shown yet, but I think you guys will like it. The UK studio has grown. I think it's about 135 people now, and they've been doing an amazing job on a lot of stuff, and a lot of their work you'll see in 2.0. The LA and Austin studios have been cranking along. I mean, Austin delivered the first, the social module, the first sort of baby stage of the PU. So I think, we're kind of hitting on all cylinders now, so I'm sort of pretty excited from now going forward to sort of see everything sort of flow to you guys. Anyway, I think it's going to be worth the wait. With that, should we get the show on?
Are you leaving?
We talked about the German studio. Let's go to our let's check in with our other 3 studios, see what they're up to, and hopefully that's
The
happening
team
right
here
now.
have been working day and night to bring Star Citizen Alpha 2.0 to you, and we can't wait for you guys to play it.
Welcome everybody to Foundry 42 here in Manchester. We'd like to thank you all again for your
So now,
all
when
your
we come
support
back, what
for
are
the
we-
project, allowing us to do this magnificent project. And we'd like to give ourselves happy birthday. Happy birthday, Star Citizen!
Hello for the Frankfurt team. Hello for the Frankfurt team. Happy to be part of this. We want to thank the whole community for all their support.
Hallo aus Frankfurt, wir wollen uns ganz herzlich bei euch allen bedanken.
Happy anniversary!
Hello, citizens! Welcome to the 3rd anniversary live stream for Star Citizen. Thank you very much for your support and backing this awesome project. We look forward to working on it a lot longer. Big thing here from Austin is just a big happy birthday to us as we turn 3 years old. Happy birthday! So, I'm going to let these people go back to work. In the meantime, I'd like to talk a bit about like what we've been most proud of going for the last year, and then what we're really looking forward to working on going forward. So, Mark,
thanks, buddy.
You want to talk?
Appreciate it.
It's Mark's
Thank you, guys. I appreciate your time. Thanks for tuning in. This last year has been huge. We've worked on our core pretty extensively, got that up and going. It's kind of got it to our gold standard. So worked out a lot of issues with how modularity works and how the game is gonna flow. It was really helpful. It was awesome. I love the way it turned out. I had a lot of people working really hard on it, and I think it shows. And I can't wait to show you guys Nyx, because it will blow your mind. I love Nyx. It's like it's my favorite so far, but you haven't seen it yet, so you'll just have to wait.
It's the nicest floating rock I've ever seen.
It's beautiful. I love it. It's gross. It's like got drips and stuff everywhere, and you'll probably get cooties on your hands. Space cooties. So that's why I love it, because I guess I'm a pirate at heart.
All right, the teaser meter is peaking on that. So. Yeah, well, and so you mentioned Area 18. I think that that's probably, if we look back over the year, there was a whole lot of really important stuff that we got done on the design side, on the art side, on the programming side. But probably the one single thing that stands out the most was just getting Area 18 as a multiplayer experience out into the hands of the players, and basically allowing players to finally start to congregate in a common location to where they can start to make some of those social relationships that they're going to be able to exploit as we open up more and more avenues into the larger game.
And I think the burning buggies was just worth it. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's so awesome to see how people just will immediately exploit stuff. I mean, that's awesome because it's creativity, right?
Well,
I mean, it's like an open, like, just
and we knew that was going to happen. That was kind of us throwing it out, knowing there was going to be a little bit of chaos for a few weeks, and then we'd kind of have to tamp it down. And I would expect for some of that to continue as we start to bring on, over the next, few months, not just, additional environments like, Skelton had mentioned, but also some additional functionality in terms of the big one on the horizon is the shopping experience. That's where loads of effort are being expended in terms of not just the formulation of the user interfaces, but all the back end functionality in terms of the persistence, stuff that's necessary so that you can finally start to actually maintain state. We've always had some of that ever since Arena Commander came online, but there's been extensive shortcuts that had to be made to get it out into the hands of the community sooner, and we're now in the process of basically putting the finishing touches on re-architecting some of that stuff so that it's done in the proper way, so that this really is this is persistence as it will be utilized for the actual shipping game.
And that persistence is going to allow us to build a game where you can explore this first-person universe and get jobs and make money and survive and thrive. And we're just excited to work on that going forward. So
and get cooties.
And space cooties.
Space cooties.
I'd like to end on space cooties. Anyway,
it should be trademarked.
Thank you very much for your support over the years. We look forward to working for it. We couldn't do this without you. I am Jason Hutchins, senior producer. This is Mark Skelton. This is Tony Zurovic, design director. Thank you very much. We're signing off. Back to you guys on the live stream.
Chat and chatter about Mark Skelton. So I don't know.
Apparently he's shaved. We didn't get to see, so we're just imagining right now.
Well, we'll have to see this Sunday at Bar Citizen. But we are here with Randy Vasquez and Calix Renault to talk about the Crucible.
Yes, the Crucible is our newest ship we're introducing today. It is the penultimate ship in the Wave 4 concept program we kicked off about this time last year. This is one of the ships you folks voted on us to build, and it is not like any other ship we've done. The Crucible is designed pretty much specifically for a new repair mechanic we're building right now. We are kicking off a post about that at the site. Hopefully right now will be available that you guys can check out. This is one of our basically internal design documents from Top Happy and the folks in Germany who have been putting a lot of work into how repair is going to work. We're excited to reveal the Crucible for the first time. But why don't you guys tell me what you did on this ship before we...
All right, where do we start?
We started with the repair. Like when we looked into the ship, it was like we need the mechanic, and so we made prototypes. We had tons of meeting conversations about what's it going to be like to fix a ship in space, and how much are you going to be able to do that, and all those things. And so those meetings turned into what's the ship that does this, and we landed on the Crucible. We came in with a space in which you can you have a garage. You can bring in your ship for repair. You can bring the Crucible up to larger ships, and it can reach out and repair those things. There's a lot that goes into it, so I'm not really sure where to go from there. But
well, let's show off some cool art. You guys sharing this now on. So this is this is a group of Crucibles repairing. Okay, so back to that. That's a group of Crucibles repairing an Idris that's taking damage. The idea is that the idea is that for larger ships, they can kind of come up to the side of them, open up their bays, and I'm gonna do this differently.
You'll be manipulating these
repair arms.
These articulated arms that'll be able to do like hull fabrication, sort of on the spot. You'll be mixing the materials to create the actual like alloys that you need, and you'll be able to do that poorly, even or better than stock. So you could come away with higher durability than you had to begin with. I mean, it's always going to be a patch job. You're in space. This is the best that you can do with what you've got, but it's a lot better than your other options.
Basically, a good way to think about it is kind of like how they do with submarines nowadays, with how they do the underwater repairs and before, so they can actually make it back to base, limp back, and kind of just go into the dry docks from there and actually get the full 100%. But yeah.
Yeah. So you're doing both the hull fabrication to patch up the hull, and as also doing more in-depth like component repair. So you'll be able to go into the components and address what's gone on with them when your engine goes out or your power plant's down.
Mm-hmm. So one thing is this ship is actually pretty big. Like a lot of people weren't expecting this ship to be, or was expecting this ship to be kind of small. It's like almost because some of the variants we were talking about was like resupply, refitting. We talked about like tugboats and stuff, and kind of the mechanics that go into all the different variants, as well as just a discussion on repair itself. So with repair being a system, and hopefully you guys read it and enjoy the system, and we're going to keep expanding upon the repair as well. So like that in itself, just the gameplay itself, just the arms, the different materials that we could get from different things, and hopefully trying to get all the different systems to work together and be more of a cyclical type of, almost like it feeds into the economy, I guess.
Yep. Now, if you take a look at this picture, you can see the Crucible is actually quite modular. It has the one that's available today has kind of a single ship repair bay that we've kind of dubbed the Scarab internally, which slots in. I don't know if you can see that up there. It slots in to the back of the ship. That's designed to fit basically any single seat Anvil fighter. So we can get a Hornet, a Gladiator, will all fit within that. You can close it and conduct repair operations in pressurized normal gravity. You can also kind of open the clamshell doors and, as we see here, repair larger ships. One of the big inspirations for this was the American Space Shuttle, which you can see that the clamshell doors basically work the same way. If you ever go back and look at kind of the history of the Space Shuttle, the original pitch in the 1960s, it was part of a program. It was going to be the shuttle itself, then there was going to be an orbital tug, something else that would all work together to build a space station and eventually go to Mars. We kind of took that to heart, use it as both a tug and a repair ship. That's just very early research we did for this one. Let's look at some other pictures.
So you mentioned that the Scarab, as we've been calling it, the garage area goes on the back of the ship, but the Crucible is an interesting one, and I know John Pritchett will love building this because that's actually also the front of the ship, because the cockpit can rotate and the engines are fully articulated, so they can rotate completely. They have access to all axes except for X, and you have maneuvering thrusters for that. So you have full vectored mains, so you have like full control with any maneuvering action, and you'll be able to go from flying up to who you need to help, turn it around, and really like get it into place.
Yeah, one of the things we talked about was actually control schemes, because as the whole entire bridge basically will rotate, your controls should shift as well. So like when you're flying normal, you're facing outwards, and then when you're actually doing repair, you actually switch over, and then the engines and everything will of course flip, and everything on the ship is basically so that you can actually repair your own ship too. So there's tons of crawl spaces, tons of areas where you can just walk around in.
Yep.
But I don't know, it's pretty awesome because like when the bridge shifts over, you're kind of like overviewing the entire repair and it's kind of going on. It's kind of cool. Can't wait for you guys to see it.
And here is the bridge itself on screen. It works almost like a revolving restaurant. So it turns around and you could look down into the bay and repair remotely if you would so like. I should mention also this concept art, the concept of the ship, concept design of the ship itself is by the incomparable Ryan Church, veteran of Star Wars, Star Trek, just one of the best ship designers out there. We're incredibly lucky that he will do contract work for Star Citizen. He built the Constellation, a number of our other popular ships. Let's see what else he has for us.
Yeah, Ryan was actually really awesome to work with, and just sending emails back and forth to him, and him giving ideas, and him just throwing ideas back and forth.
It's so cool, really, isn't it? All these like big star designers, they'll chat with you like nothing. It's so cool.
Yeah, it was actually kind of like intimidating because I was looking at his work and I was like, oh my god, he's done all this stuff. That's so cool.
Here is the Crucible landed in the hangar. The Scarab is detached, I believe. This is an ortho showing it both detached and attached. There it is in orbit with Hornet under repair. And our good friend Ryan Archer did a series of Crucible blueprints. We thought this was a ship we wanted to show you some more technical information on, so we've spec'd out the bridge layout, everything like that. Here are the remote manipulator arms, kind of styled after the Canadarm on the shuttle again. I believe we're up to 4 arms, is that right?
It actually has a little bit more because there's 4 internally inside the garage area, and then there's 2 on the exterior of the ship. So if it detaches, or if the garage detaches, then there's 2 long ones there for like bigger repairs. But even those arms will actually go on a rail, so that way it can kind of go where it needed, as well as we forgot to mention that the engines also are on tracks, so that when the mass changes, the engines will change to be center of mass to help the ship with maneuverability a little bit more.
And these are the 2 external arms right here. Blueprint, and this is the one of the chairs. We asked our own Grimmark Bassine to help kind of get the anvil styling. In the past, Ryan had done primarily RSI ships, so Grimmark took a pass at the internal look of the ship. And these are this is the anvil style chairs we built for it. And this is just one of the last shots of the geometry before we approved it for release. And that is the Crucible. But we also did quite a bit of work on the interior. Well, I say we, but I mean Randy did quite a bit of work on the interior. And we'd like to share some of that with you with a special edition of Ship Shape, which we're going to cut to right now. Right now.
On this episode of Ship Shape, we're sitting down once again with technical designer Randy Vasquez, who's going to take us through the very, very early white box of the Crucible interior. Randy, how you doing?
Doing good. How about yourself?
Good. You ready to do this one more time?
Let's do this.
All right.
Today we'll be looking at the Crucible, and kind of you can see right here, this is the kind of overall layout of the Crucible itself. So let's actually get you in. Actually, let me go to this real quick. So this kind of just breaks down the levels and layers of the Crucible. Again, this is really early concept, really early on, just designs in general. So we're gonna go ahead and close that out and then jump in game.
All right.
So kind of what I've been working on is just building out the interior layouts. This is about maybe a week or so, maybe a little bit more.
You haven't been on this
into the
very
process.
long.
No.
This is very early in the process.
It really is, and this kind of touches some salvage, it touches repair, and probably a few other systems we can't talk about yet. So we're gonna get into it. So as you can see here, we're gonna go ahead and enter through the rear ramp, and this is gonna be kind of where ships are inside of it. So single-seater ships will be sitting inside of this thing.
Hornets, Gladius.
Yeah, things like that, smaller ships that can be repaired internally. As you can see, as we first enter into this area, we have some cargo, we have where equipment would be, we have some cranes and everything set up so that way like arms can come out and kind of operate in that area.
Okay.
So as we continue through, we can see that we have some repair pumps, we have some fuel pumps, we have coolant pumps, so anything that ship would need to also help with refitting and resupplying. So that will also be a function of this type of ship. Okay. Now, since they're going to start on the bottom, we're going to look at we have some components on the sides, we have some airlock entryways. Basically, every single entry into the ship from the outside is going to be an airlock. Just because being a repair ship, they need to be able to get in and out of the ship at any time. So you'll also be seeing a lot of personal storages around the area, so that way they can put on suits and have equipment right there and they can re-equip right before they exit the door.
This work area it's not open like this, it has doors. So
yes, it'll actually be enclosed that can actually open up as well.
That's just another reason for the airlocks, because yeah, exactly. All right.
Yeah, some of this stuff is going to be actually open to space, while others are not going to be open to space, and we're still very much on designing a lot of the exterior as well as the interior at the same time. It's actually been really cool. Ryan Church is the one working on this ship, and he's done some awesome work. So if you look up his stuff, you'll be able to see some of the stuff he's contributed to.
Constellation, Idris.
Yeah, not even just us. Like his other work is pretty awesome. I mean,
he's kind of good.
He kind of knows how to do things. So this whole area is actually a module that can come in and out, or detach and be attached. So actually, these stations up here are actually part of the module that come off. So these are going to be the internal arm operators that will actually be able to get into the rest of the ship as well. And those arm operators will be taking care of like these cranes that are built along the sides, and then they'll be kind of manipulating them. So let's get inside the ship.
Okay.
So everything, like I said before, everything has airlocks. We have 2 entryways on either side. Ideally, I kind of see it working kind of like how like a kitchen crew would work, where they go in one door and they only exit the other door, so that way the crew is always trained to kind of do that. It kind of makes sense flow-wise, right? Like, if the crew is trained that way, then it just makes it easier. Like, all right, I'm entering. You never have to worry about, yelling, make a hole, and then everybody kind of get congested.
Exactly.
Now, this middle area right here is an airlock that is actually an elevator. So like the constellation, you know how the middle part of the constellation kind of just drops down so that people can load stuff on? So that kind of follows suit, actually. As you see here, I have 36 SCU that's able to go on this elevator. And this will be able to load things. What is this? Oh, it's another entry. So this will be an entryway, like elevator for personnel, and then they enter through here. As you can see, kind of just shares that space. So this first area is going to be, as it says, loading and storage. We could load storage here, we could have equipment here. It kind of depends on what the crew wants to do. And this is going to be where like EVA, suits, and everything is stored.
Okay.
Right. This central area is another elevator that is going to be serving the whole entire ship. So this will take you actually into the rest of the ship. So let's go up.
Okay, this is in the center of that cylindrical area. All right.
Yep. So going up, we have engineering. So engineering will have a lot more components and piping and everything to basically keep this ship running. So as you see here, we have like an engineering station, and this is where the engineer is going to basically have most of his job. So there's also right here a repair station where they're going to be going through and doing anything to get ready for preparing for repairs and everything like that. And you had mentioned that there's going to be actually a post soon.
Yeah, by the time folks see this, hopefully, there will be a detailed post on the repair system by our own Todd Pappy. So you'll get to read about repair gels and all this stuff that you have to do in preparation of repair.
Nice.
So that's what this station's for.
So in engineering, also, it connects through airlocks again, the internal arm operations, and I'm kind of just going to show both sides to show that they both kind of feed into this this area is meant so that you can get to multiple parts of the ship multiple ways. And then this is observation deck, and we're going to have hopefully some screens set up here so that way if anybody's walking around doing something like that, you can check the status. Kind of like when you're at the doctor's and you have the screen set up and like, okay, this patient is set up like this.
Yeah.
It kind of has that type of we want that functionality.
Okay.
So hopefully just information everywhere, right? It's a repair ship. People should know where the status of repairs are no matter where you are. So continuing on with engineering, we have components off to the wings, and this is going to be like where fuel is, where the coolants are, where ballast is. This is going to have like the drone launch bays for the front of the ship. We can go on this side as well. Again, feeds into the rooms, so that way personnel space. You can even get up to the other level above, which we'll talk about in a few seconds. So the one thing that's about this room is besides the drone launch, ballast and power and fuel and stuff, this is actually where the engine array works. So as you can see here, this is the engine array, and we have large engines, one top, one bottom, and this thing actually slides across a track. So basically this thing will slide over here or slide back here, and this is going to be based on the mass. So if the center of mass changes, then the engine's arrays actually will move based on where their center of mass is.
Gotcha. And this is because we're taking entire other ships into our hold.
Yep.
It's a little more than just cargo. Gotcha. All right.
Nope. So that is the main purpose. So when this thing is to go in repair mode, though, then basically this hole will line up with the center of the engine array.
Okay.
And then the player should be able to climb into it and then do your own repairs for your own ship if you need to. So that's kind of a unique thing for our game. We're not going to talk about drones for a while because that's going to be in another doc. So let's, instead of going to the elevator, let's go ahead and go up here now. So basically, we're up here now, and a lot of these things you won't be able to see in the real ship. This is all just very much early on white box stuff. So
this is about the earliest white box you can have, guys. So
yeah,
you said you wanted to see how the sausage was made. This is as early as the sausage is being made here.
So this actually goes into the crew quarters, and 2 crew members would be sleeping in this area, and just some little lounge area for their own, and then if they want to read a book, they don't want to lay down or something like that. But each individual cruise pod will be its own dedicated escape pod as well. So if catastrophic failure happens, then they're able to jump in there and kind of get out of Dodge. So this is the crew common area where they would cook meals, they would eat, store food, kind of have like a little lounge where they can just chill and chat and stuff. Bathrooms, showers, all that stuff would be in this area right here. And then on the other side, more of the same. That way I kind of keep it separated a little bit.
Yeah.
So they can kind of have some privacy, but then still have like, dorm mates. So let's go up to the last floor, which is the bridge.
Okay.
All right, so now the bridge is unique, right? In that it is meant to actually rotate.
Okay.
So we're still figuring out the designs, whether it's going to be the interior only rotating, or if it's going to be the whole entire top part rotating. And the reason why this would be rotating is we have 3 crew members up here, right? And each crew member can kind of change what they want to do on the job, right? So like the middle seat would be the pilot seat, dedicated pilot seat, and the other guys, they'd be doing arm operations, they would be doing drone operations, so various functions would be handled by the guys on the side, as well as, one could be a co-pilot, one could be helping out engineering. The engineering station is probably the main station that's doing just that, but then also the engineer would probably go over and take care of repair preparations and probably anything else they want to do, right? Even though this ship is only manned by 4 people, there's at least 7 stations on this thing.
Yeah,
so that way people will need to actually switch around, do different things. So this ship will keep people busy.
So you've got the arrows on the floor there. I should have guessed it was going to turn around.
Yeah, it's one of the things we're working on. So as we said before, airlocks everywhere. We have escape pods here, 2 more over here, so that way the crew can get out if they're either in the bridge or if they're in the crew quarters. So there's always something they can reach, right?
Gotcha.
So right here, this airlock actually will take them out to this area right here. So if there's something they need to get to really quickly, they can EVA out, and this is right on top of the observation deck. And again, they can kind of EVA out again and go down to different levels. People I see kind of swarming all over the place and kind of just going from there. So we kind of wanted to keep that as in it is a repair ship. It is meant to be entered and exited quickly, to be able to get to different areas, different levels really easily based on what the needs of the ship is.
Very cool.
So I think Ryan had talked about things where the seats themselves are actually going to be on tracks. So based on what is happening with the ship, then basically you get better visibility. So like these things will be moving forward, or these things will be moving backwards. Like there's still a bunch of things that we have to work out and kind of go from there. So, and then once these things are turned over here, then this is the view that they'd be seeing. So they can kind of overview everything and look over everything. All right, so let's do something real quick. I want to show you guys kind of, this is what the ship kind of looks like when we have other ships. As you see, I started with some smaller ships, kind of placing them around inside here. I have like an Argo in there. I have some other things like the Constellation, the Retaliator, and we can kind of see with the thing open, these things can fit up to a point. And then that's when these arms kind of will unfurl and start doing some of the repair. So, and for even larger ships, drones and these repair arms will be used.
Gotcha.
So it really depends on the different type of repair that they will need to get done. They'll use different tools to repair it.
Gotcha. And so this is why you'd want the command module to rotate, because when you have such a large ship in here, the existing observation deck, when you'd end up looking at the underside of the Retaliator there.
Yep.
So, gotcha.
So really quickly, I'm going to actually turn on this thing so you guys can see, you guys get a good look of kind of what we've been working with and just building up right here. And let's go ahead and turn it on there. So now we can kind of see all of the stuff fitting inside the ship. So we've been kind of rebuilding the ship piece by piece, kind of just based on the functionality and where we kind of saw things fitting.
Very cool.
Oh, one thing we didn't talk about was the turrets up top.
Turrets.
So all the turrets are going to be remote turrets. So that way, these people on the side right here, when they're not doing other things, they can actually turn into turret turret gunners, and without switching from their stations. Everything's going to be super modular, as in like people are going to be switching jobs really quickly on the ship just to kind of feed the need of the ship at that time.
Very cool.
And that is about it for this. I really hope you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah, man, Randy. I don't think you said enough. We and everybody in the community appreciate you taking the time to do these for us. Yeah, this is an exciting ship. I think by the time people see this, the ship will be on sale already. You should have the design doc on repair from Todd Pappy. So yeah, it's an exciting ship, a whole new avenue of gameplay, and definitely excited to have it aboard. So Randy, thanks a lot, man.
Thank you.
All right, back to you guys.
Do you want to talk as soon as we come back?
I can talk.
Okay. Hey everybody, and we're back.
Hey, pretty cool, huh? I love seeing these white box videos where we're it's a white box videos where we walk through the ship, the internals of the ships. Because I remember growing up playing first person shooter games, and it never occurred to me that much work went through into just the movement through a space. I think it's really cool. I love videos like that. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'm really excited about the Crucible. But as you guys know, all of the Wave 4 ships introduced some new gameplay element. We saw the passenger stuff, which was a stretch goal with the Starfarer. We saw the mining with the Orion, etc., etc. And Crucible is no exception. The Crucible is no exception, as the Crucible is no exception, and we put together a fantastic repair plan thanks to Top Happy and the folks in Germany, who are going to talk to us a little bit about it. Post itself is available on the site right now if you want to see the nitty-gritty, but if you, like many people, prefer video, here you go.
Hi, I'm Todd Pappy, Design Director at Cloud Imperium and Foundry 42. Today we're putting out a design post about repair. Some of our high-level goals for the design was making it repeatable. If you do it 1 time to 1,000 times, it's still fun. Skill-based, the more you practice, the better you get. Scalable, something that can be done from our single-seater ships all the way up to our capital ships. And then, in this case, it was built off the ship damage tech that Ali and his team have built. So with repair, it really breaks down into hull and components. And with the hull, that breaks down into 4 major steps: assessment, cleaning, mixing, patching. So first you assess the damage on the hull and figure out what section you want to fix. At that point, you start cleaning off the damage with a laser. This gives the operator a clean surface to repair. So for example, if the ship has a damaged wing, what you want to do is clean off the damaged edges and then reconstruct the wing. In essence, think 3D printing. So at that point, you'll start mixing materials together into a compound. And then from there, you'll take that compound, mix that with the laser, and start moving back and forth over the damaged surface, in essence patching it, at the same time trying to make sure it doesn't overheat. So with components, that breaks down into 3 major steps: assessment, accessing, and replacement. So when your ship takes damage, some of that damage will be transferred from the point of impact of the hull to the nearest systems and weapon components on your ship. When these components take damage, they have internal subcomponents that act almost like fuses, and they will shut down the component before it gets completely ruined. The player will want to open up those components, replace the subcomponents before they power that section of the ship back up. So if you want more information, please check out the repair post, and I'll see you in the verse.
Hello everyone, so welcome to, this may look familiar, this is generally where we shoot 10 for the Chairman, for David Haddock, looking very happy to be on camera, aren't you, Dave? Yeah,
love it.
We love
Every
it.
time.
This is the part of the show that we'll talk about Squadron 42, and we are discussing Mark Hamill's character. So at CitizenCon we unveiled our cast, which obviously we're quite excited by, and talked about Gary Oldman's character and showed us a scene that sort of sets his character up. It's actually it's actually a very small scene in the bigger scope of Squadron 42, but it was sort of one of our sort of proof of concepts for him, and we're still working on pushing the fidelity and quality of that. The next person that we're going to talk about is Mark Hamill, who obviously I've been a big fan of for a long time. I've worked with him on both Wing Commander 3 and Wing Commander 4. He's an absolutely wonderful person, and he's a great actor. And so coming back to this, he was absolutely the first person and the top person on my list that I wanted to work again when we were saying we were going to sort of do a Wing Commander style story and bring back some of the old cast, because he's just fantastic to work with. So what we thought we'd do, we're actually having some articles. We're in both PC Gamer in the UK and the US, and GameStar in Germany this week. So you'll see Mark's face on the cover. I think there's been some teaser, little video that GameStar was showing. And I believe those magazines are going out to their subscribers now or in the next sort of week. And there'll be a more in-depth article in those magazines because we had both GameStar and PC Gamer come and visit Foundry 42 in Wilmslow, Manchester. So I was there and a whole bunch of team, and we sat down and showed them a whole lot of Squadron 42 as well as some of the stuff we're working on for 2.0 and stuff. And so it was fun sitting with them. But we're going to show you a really quick set. We just did a quick little stinger teaser for Mark Hamill in the game, so you can see him. And we're going to have a longer scene for our next reveal, which will be talking about John Rhys Davis's character, and it's actually there will be the scene where John Rhys Davis and Mark Hamill first meet each other in the game, which is kind of fun because it sort of plays into the fact that they've basically served together and they know each other, but they haven't seen each other for a while, which is kind of a parallel to really kind of what happened on the set. But that'll be a longer scene. But this is just a little snippet we prepared just to sort of see Mark in game in the context, and then we'll come back and we'll sort of talk about his character and everything. So, Red 1, Jared.
All right, gentlemen, fire up. Try and keep up.
We're back. I got tilted. Hello, everyone. All right. So anyway, that's the first quick snippet of Mark in the engine, flying the Gladius, which is one of the first ships that you'll fly. So let's just talk about a little bit Mark's role, because he's actually, of all the characters, so it's different. Squadron 42 is different in the way Wing Commander was, because obviously when you play Wing Commander, Mark played Lieutenant Christopher Blair, who was the character you were playing. So what happened was you basically flew for him, and then when you were aboard the ship or seeing scenes played out, you saw him act out for you. And now Squadron 42 is very different because we're putting you essentially in the movies. You get to configure your character how you want, so you'll be a man or a woman, however you want to look, all race, color, creed. It's totally up to you, so hopefully it will be more. You'll have more agency. It will really be sort of your journey, but we still wanted to sort of bring great characters and great actors, and Mark obviously was one of them, and so we deliberately wrote this role that is sort of, he's got the most screen time besides you as a player, obviously, and he's your mentor. So when you first come and serve on the first assignment, which is on the Stanton, he's the senior pilot, and I don't know, Dave, you want to give him a little
he's
high level view here?
You get to fly with Mark Hamill. I mean, it's kind of the great awesome payoff of all time. Like he gets to be very angry with you and yell at you and stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, so basically it's just you're the rookie pilot. You've just gotten out of flight academy, and he is the sort of veteran who is on this frigate ship and is in charge of sort of whipping young pilots into shape and goes through them rather rapidly.
And he's quite famous for not, he doesn't tolerate fools gladly. He has a backstory, so he's been around for a long time, seen a lot of various wingmen or other people he served with, not make it. And so in fact, actually, part of where he is, he's deliberately sort of had himself reassigned to the Stanton, which is on more sort of patrol duty. It's not on the front lines, just because there's the amount of time he served, the amount of people that he's lost is kind of
worn him down.
Wants to get away from it, and he's tough on people because he knows that it's really one mistake can get you killed, basically. So in some ways, Squadron 42, the first game that we're doing, is really a quest for the approval of your disapproving father, which is Mark Hamill. And I guess, in the longer term, that almost plays also into Gary Oldman's character, Bishop, who kind of has the same sort of demeanor or vibe or something like that, where he's more of a big sort of unapproachable figurehead hero.
He's making massive moves.
Where Mark's character, Lieutenant Commander Steve Colton, is more about just there, making sure. And there's some really great moments in the story that we filmed. I'm really actually excited to sort of see them come across and see how people experience them, because we deliberately went with a cadence where we spent time establishing the characters, and you get to also pick who you're going to talk to and spend time with on the ship, not just the main characters like Mark. There's a whole secondary cast, and you can go around and talk, and they move around their own schedules during the on duty, off duty, and they all have backstories, and so the idea is that you spend time getting to know people, and then, as invariably in stories that are interesting, things happen. And things obviously happen in our story, and obviously some of them will be traumatic, and there will be people that you lose or get injured, and there will be sort of moments of defining sort of like stress and heroism. And I think hopefully, because you've spent time with these characters, they will be more meaningful for you. It's it's kind of it's kind of what you do in movies, to sort of you spend time and like a character, and therefore you care about what happens with them. And I'm hoping that all of us actually are hoping that because we're giving you the agency to choose who you're going to spend time and talk and interact with, then it will actually mean something for you if something happens in the game.
Well, and also, I mean, one of the initial kind of briefs about how to approach filling out the rest of the ship that you were given was, you didn't want characters to be identifiable at first blush. So it wasn't like you walk up to somebody in the first conversation, you go, oh, they're the jokester or anything like that. So there's more to them. There's more complexity, to build in, hopefully, to get that sense of like you want to get to know them better. And again, when invariably stuff happens because you're in the military and you're in combat, like if people get hurt or lost or something like that, then it has that much more impact, because you feel like you've gotten past the layers to see who the person is and stuff. So.
So that's the idea, and we'll be sort of introducing these characters, the main ones that we sort of announced, but we have actually an incredible secondary cast in the game, and I think at the end of the day, when you play the game, you'll sort of notice a lot of the people you're like, oh, I've seen them on this show, because we actually worked with an incredible level. In the UK, there's a lot of stuff going on now, and there's some really amazing actors, and there'll be a lot of people that you may not be as big of the names you've seen, but you're like, oh, I know that person. We scanned them all, so I'm really, it's not, we can't sort of show it as we go the same way we show the rest of Star Citizen, but I'm really looking forward to everyone getting to experience this when we get it out next year. So I thought what would be fun, we had a great time working with Mark. He's wonderful. I've got the chat roll up here, so we'll just take some questions from you guys. Do you want to ask me and Dave about that will tell you as much as we can, or what it was like working on the States. Some of the stuff I won't be able to answer because we don't want to ruin the story. But I will now look at chat roll and ask some questions right now, and we'll see. Okay, cast of Downton Abbey. Yeah, that's not a question.
We're around.
Go ahead. Usually this chat roll moves so fast that I can't even see the questions. Come on. Oh, maybe it's delayed. It's got to be delayed. All right, here we go. 2.0 today. So at the end of the stream, we will be sharing some information with you. So stick around for that. How about that? But that's not about Mark Hamill or Squadron 42. Starfarer status. Okay, so rules are on this. We're asking about Mark and Squadron 42. So yes, one question is, was it fun working with Mark again? Yeah, it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, it seemed like you guys hadn't really lost a step. Like you had a very easy.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, it's not just Mark. I mean, I know Mark and his family, and in fact, it was actually kind of cool because Chelsea, who's his daughter, was when we were first doing Wing Commander, she lost her first tooth on our set. I think it was Wing 4. I can't remember. It was either Wing 3 or Wing 4. But now she's grown up and she actually handles his PR and stuff like that. And she came out along with Mary Lou, his wife, and they're just really nice. It was they're wonderful people. So yes, it was fantastic. And he is the consummate professional. I mean, as I said, he had by far the biggest role of everyone, and we are, on the CitizenCon we showed how much, how big the script is, but it's 7 movie scripts, and he had a vast amount of dialogue, and every day he was bam, 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 bam on it.
And the most wild lines too.
And the most wild lines, yeah. I mean, it's he's a consummate pro, so he knows the material inside out, and then he can give you I'll give you this bit or I'll give you that, and I really think he did a great job on the character, which was this sort of slightly angry, gruff, whether it's a cross between Lee Marvin or Clint Eastwood in the Rookie. It was really cool. All right, let's see. Questions. Sorry, these are all going so far. Does Mark make any Star Wars references in the story? Yeah, I think we put a couple of Easter eggs in there.
Yeah, you'll have to keep an eye out.
I'm not sure if it was "Don't Get Lucky, Kid," but anyway, you'll have to look. You'll have to figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Other questions. Does Mark use the Force in Squadron 42? No, Mark does not use the Force in Squadron 42.
That's a good question.
Let's see. How open-ended will Squadron 42 be, considering we will have to leave the military at its end? So what we're going to do, I think I've mentioned this before, what we're going to do, because we're sort of telling the story, the biggest story, we just sort of came up with this really overarching storyline, and to do it at the fidelity that we're doing it, which is sort of motion picture quality in terms of the moments and the details and the textures. There's no way this big, huge, overarching story, could be, it'd be like filming the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So we are essentially going to be doing that, but over 3 games. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have a diary basically that you'll sort of keep up, and that will sort of, you playing Squadron 42 will be like your earlier self. And then you can also be playing in the persistent units of Star Citizen, and as you complete the 3-star Squadron 42 games that sort of combine the overarching story, it would sort of fill in your diary entries, and it will unlock things that will happen in the persistent universe. So people you meet and people you things will unlock things in the persistent universe as you go along. So sort of think of it as your earlier self playing Squadron 42, and then you're sort of the older veteran that comes out of the end of the trilogy that will be playing around in the persistent universe. All right. Will Mark Hamill's character kill us if we shoot his ship? I ask because I'm a bad shot. Well, he certainly has lots of wild lines about...
He certainly gets very angry.
It gets very angry. And I think you get put in the brig, basically. If you start... If you deliberately troll, crewmates or everything else, we have a fair number of brig scenes with the various commanding officers where, you get a dressing down in the brig.
The disappointed shake of the head.
Let's see. Who does Ben Mendelsohn play in Squadron 42?
Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned. That's what we're going to do his character things. He plays a great character.
Yeah,
he's awesome. I mean, He's he's one of, I really like him as an actor. He's there's a whole bunch of things he's been great in. Animal Kingdom was awesome. So no, he was very good. But that will be a later reveal. I think we're going to do that one for next year. Okay, let's go back on the thing. Let's see. Will we get a chance to fly a bigger ship like the Idris in Squadron 42? Yeah, actually, I think in the opening scene you fly a Javelin briefly. So I don't know how much Idris flying you do in it. The Idris does fly around and does combat, but you do in the opening battle fly a bit of Javelin. I may be giving too much away. I shouldn't say that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. I'm being stage marriage by Jared. Damn it. Okay, so since we're talking about this, we got a couple other videos. One is behind the scenes video from the shoot with Mark. So let's roll that. We'll come back to a few more questions, and then we'll have a little interview we can roll for with Mark. Okay, so cue the behind the scenes video.
Every medium's different, With motion capture, it's almost like you have a camera on your face at all times. And I'm a newbie. I'm sort of just getting my sea legs, as it's the last few days of production. Everyone's dressed exactly the same, which is a wonderful equalizer, because it doesn't matter whether you're Sir Laurence Olivier or a day player with no lines. Everybody's dressed exactly the same. You have the little sensors that, when photographed, light up like a Christmas tree. There's not really makeup. They make a face mask of yourself with the appropriate holes drilled and spray paint these dots on. You look like you're in the road company of Cats, playing Spotty Cat. There's no dignity there, is what I'm trying to say.
I can't take my eyes off his noodle.
I have great trust in the people that are doing the heavy lifting.
I mean, we talked about making sort of old man this kind of almost sort of crotchety Clint Eastwood character, and that Mark's like, well, I think I kind of want to go more Lee Marvin on him.
Follow my lead for once.
If he has an opinion, you should listen.
And I'm like, yeah, that sounds great. Okay, cool, yeah, let's play that. Lee Marvin, I love Lee Marvin, that's an awesome idea. First take, it was like, with the growl, we're like, yeah, that's going to be perfect. That's going to be an awesome old man.
Kid, you better be on your way.
You can really tell how long he's been doing this for, and he's so experienced, and it's just wonderful to watch him work.
Holding him off, but not for long. Hurry the hell up.
All the little subtleties he can put into his voice and the different inflections.
Oh yeah, the options he gives us, where he can just play a word slightly differently, and it's a whole different meaning. It's really cool.
Where the hell are you? Where the hell are you? Where the hell are you?
And then he just cut loose, and it was Luke Skywalker pissed off that he'd been wandering the universe all these years, Just like, I'm not taking anything from anybody. Yeah, he was spectacular.
3, 2, 1, action.
It's really stripping down to the essence of what acting is all about. It's like we're playing Robin Hood or Zorro in our backyards when we were 9 years old. It's all about pretending.
Take off. I'll see if mine's still flyable.
This is just a really elaborate, technical version of game playing you played as a kid.
Coffee okay?
Forget it, I'm not drinking. I'll do all my drinking in my caravan, thank you.
Yeah. Is that it?
I'll look at a monitor and raise my arms to see which one is me.
No, is it me? That's me. That's you.
It's the player, in this case Ian Duncan, who is like the camera.
Listen, kid, just because you face death, don't start thinking you're invincible. You're not. We could all die.
You really bring down the mood, don't you?
I know.
We could all die. Wipe that smile off your face. You want to keep living? Kill anything that he throws against you. It's the only way out of here.
All right, we're back. Okay, so that was a nice little behind-the-scenes piece with Mark. So I don't know whether some things in there keyed some questions, but we could maybe take a few more here. Let's see if anything comes up that's... Yeah, he was fascinated by the noodle. Okay, good joke. All right, question. Do we have to be a man in Squadron 42? No, you can be a man, you can be a woman or a man. It's your choice. You choose your sex at the start of the game, and you also choose what your face and appearance, skin color is. It's completely configurable like an MMO, and it is our character selection that will drive what you look like in the PU ultimately. Okay, so question, will there be multiple paths to go down the story? Can you make enemy or friends based on your decisions? Yeah, no, we definitely have different, we have parts of it that have different branches. Your interactions with various characters will affect how they will deal with you, and it can also affect some of their actions. I mean, ultimately, you know, there's a beginning and end to the story, but there are some different, like pretty similar to the way a Wing Commander works, is there are different sort of approaches or branches for you to do. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, you know, there's this sort of weird fine line of like, you know, letting the players feel like they're deciding stuff, but also if it gets too wide, then you end up just trying to account for, like, your plot becomes a little bit thinner because you have to account for all these different possible routes that players had gotten to this point from this point, and they know this, they don't know this, and stuff like that. So, yeah, we're trying to straddle the line, you know, sort of, so it feels like your choices actually have consequences, and you can decide how you approach things, but, you know, there's still...
Right. So, I mean, we definitely had parts where, like, you know, some... different characters that may or may not to get to parts of the story depending on what you do or what your interaction is. Yeah. Okay, there's a wall of questions here. Let's see. How awesome is this to work on voice acting, performance with modern technology versus the old Wing Commander games? I'd say it's different. I mean, you're still like when we're doing performance capture. You know, there was still acting and performance, which was fun. You know, not quite the same way as you would be on real sets, so it's a little easier to sort of put yourself in the universe when you're on real sets. But the flip side of that is, I definitely think there's way more immersion when we can put the actors and their faces next to you in the game in 3D moving around, so you sort of feel like you're in the story as opposed to watching a story. And so I think that's the big, and I'm really sort of happy with kind of where the fidelity is getting to now in terms of like the I mean, we still, beyond what we showed you at CitizenCon, we're pushing it quite a ways beyond that, and there's a lot of subtleties in terms of, you know, emotion or eyes tearing up and stuff that you know, are quite important to sort of deliver nuance of story that we're, you know, working on tech and feeling pretty comfortable that we'll be able to deliver that, and I think that'll really help in some of the moments in the game. All right, so another question is, will our decisions in Squadron 42 affect our standing in the PU? I think we kind of determined that some of it does.
Yeah, we were still sort of trying to figure that out, but yeah, that was one of the things, was because I remember the discussion about like how does Squadron 42 and the PU connect up, you know. Even on some of the like Ask a Dev threads, we brought up a lot of questions of like, if I'm a criminal, then if I want to be a pirate and stuff like that. So a lot of that is just, you know, kind of us, we've got to figure it out and figure out how much it carries over and what way.
Yep, basically. That's true. Okay, so there seems to be a fair number of people keeping asking about co-op in Squadron 42. So I think, you know, Aaron has sort of described, so we will have multiplayer in Squadron 42, but you won't be able to play the story all the way through with another person through the story, because that's the iterations on the amount of things we would have. So what's going to happen is when you play through missions, you'll be able to go back and play certain missions, and we'll even have some custom ones that will be sort of co-op missions based on events. So you know, if there's a big battle, you'll play it sort of through the story in the single player, and then you can come back to that big battle, and maybe some of you and your friends can play the same battle. But there isn't going to be co-op where, you know, people walk around the ship with you, and you know, someone can play Mark Hamill's character and someone can play you know, Rona Mitra's character, and you play the player, because obviously we need those characters to sort of do the things they need to do in the story. But we will on the missions that sort of make sense, sort of, because we do have quite a few missions that are sort of you or just Mark Hamill, but there's some bigger missions that are more people, and those ones are the ones that sort of make more sense for co-op, and they will be specific, sort of multiplayer versions of those for you that you would unlock as you go through the story. Okay, back to the questions. We're getting spammed on how will the Squadron 42 to PU transition work. So I think I mentioned that earlier when we were talking about it, but basically we're going to treat your character in Squadron 42 sort of as a earlier version of yourself, and you'll have a diary, and then as you play Squadron 42 and then Behind Enemy Lines, and I can't remember what we're going to call the last one of the trilogy, your sort of diary will be updated with achievements and features, and those achievements and features will unlock things or relationships in the PU, and at the very end of the trilogy you basically muster out. But the idea is you can sort of play as your older self in the PU while still experiencing the sort of single player narrative story of Squadron 42. So you don't have to finish Squadron 42 or the full trilogy to play in the PU. You can be sort of playing through Squadron 42 and playing in the PU at the same time. I think that's kind of cool. It sort of lets you have the single player experience and the full sort of online sort of multiplayer experience without having to finish one first to be able to earn the other one. So that's how the setup and the transition works. It will be based on the same character. How far can I customize the ship loadout in Squadron 42? We were talking that you'll have a ship loadout. I mean, we actually have direct dialogue about it, but you can sort of...
Yeah, I mean, I think they're still fleshing out the design spec for it, but I imagine it'd probably be pretty intensive. I don't know.
David wrote lines.
I wrote lines for it.
He wrote lines for it. But yeah, basically, you can customize your loadout, both Mark and the various other characters. So like they have a default loadout, but you can adjust it on like what missiles or say weapons. And there are later on in the game you can some interactions that would allow you to get special modules or upgrades on the ship.
Like exploration rewards.
So you can customize and do stuff. So I think will have more control than you would have done, say, typically in a Wing Commander. Can you move Dave's mic closer to him? All right, we will do that.
I will even get closer to the mic.
Are the interactions third or first person? As a question. So we're building and designing everything for sort of first person conversation, communication. I think we're probably going to allow a third person, you to switch to third person mode, just because it's kind of cool to see how beautiful and detailed the models are. But pretty much when we develop it, we're sort of building it all from first person, but allow you, so kind of like when we demo, we sort of can run around in first person and pop out to third person. There may be some of the conversation stuff that is only in first person. We haven't, because it's very much about eye contact and looking at people and going between stuff. So that may force you into first person. But when we run it all and the tests that we do, as you saw in the Morrow tour, it's all run from first person. So we may lock you into that. We haven't decided, but we will definitely have moments where we will let you cut out to examine, look at how cool your character is. Okay, I'm getting staged. I'll take one more question and then we will go to the interview with Mark and done by Sandy. Okay, so let's find a good one here. How has Mark changed his acting style since working with him on Wing Commander? I mean, he was great to work with on Wing Commander. I mean, I definitely will say, Mark's done a huge amount of VO, sort of voiceover work. He's done amazing work as, he's the de facto voice of the Joker. And I definitely think that that sort of, I mean, he was really good and quick at dialing stuff in.
Yeah, I mean, I think we covered it briefly in the behind the scenes thing, but yeah, for his wild lines, we would usually do readings of 3 for each line, and each one it would just be sort of subtle variations of it that gave it a slightly different color to it. That was just fantastic, and it was like, and he would just motor through them. Like we had 24 pages of wild lines that I think he did. A ridiculous.
So I'm guessing maybe all the VO work sort of. I mean, but in general, I mean, his, I didn't feel like the straight up acting was particularly that much different, other than like Dave was saying, we were just impressed by. He's just like, okay, I'll give you this here, I'll give you this here, and you want that, and like the ability for Mark to sort of adjust what he was doing was pretty amazing.
I give you 3 different versions of that adjustment.
And that doesn't happen with a lot of actors. Just to let you know, that's one of the most difficult things. So speaking of that, let's roll to the interview with Mark Hamill.
Hey everybody, it's Sandy Gardner, and I am here for the Squadron 42 EPK with Mark Hamill. Mark, we are so excited that you are on Squadron 42, and all the fans are going to go crazy when they find out. There have been rumors that you were on
I've tried to be very careful about that. Everything's an NDR these days.
Yeah.
Non-disclosure. I remember the old days when producers craved free publicity. But I have several projects now that I can't talk about. One, I will be financially penalized if they can trace the leak to me. Just crazy. Right. It was done under a fake name, and oh my gosh. Well, it's a whole new world.
It was on Reddit. Mark Hamill flew to London. Well, he must be in Squadron 42.
Oh, really? I did. I thought, I probably shouldn't have done that. I did say in London for a top secret project, spoiler alert, not SW related.
SC, but or SQ-42.
There you go.
So can you tell us about your character?
I love this guy, Lieutenant Commander Steve Colton. My father was a career naval officer, and I knew people like this. They were lifers. They sort of resented the more educated college boys, they used to call him, but he's not a people person. I remember reading that he doesn't so much instruct people as to hammer them into shape. So he doesn't suffer fools gladly. He doesn't really have people skills. He's gruff. But he's also very dedicated to the cause, which is admirable, and he's selfless in that regard. So it's really fun playing someone I wish I could be more like in real life. And Ian Duncan is playing the player. It's really from his point of view, although I'm sort of his sidekick throughout the game. And it's just been as much fun as I imagined it would be. I really had such a great time working on Wing Commander with Chris, and the fond memories remain, but I never in a million years thought that the opportunity would present itself again. And when he asked me to do it, he's so brilliant. I didn't need a script. I immediately said, of course, I can't wait. Of course, your agent says, you didn't tell him that, did you? I mean, play hard to get, for God's sakes. No, I didn't have to think twice. It was just a no-brainer.
How was the suit and the headset for you?
Well, I'd been watching the DVD extras on, Planet of the Apes or, Lord of the Rings, Avatar, and any new technology fascinates me. So I thought, I'd love someday, I'm very jealous of Andy Serkis getting all of these parts, because I thought, boy, he's King Kong, he's Gollum, he's all of these wonderful character parts. So I couldn't wait. I wanted to see what it would be like. And you have to remind yourself, you're wearing all this gear and you look on the monitor and you think, wow, that's very impressive. I got this great outfit and a backpack. And the key question is, can they make me look taller? That's what I care about.
I'm sure they can.
Make me look a little more like, I don't know, Brad Pitt or something. But because there's not much dignity there. You sort of look like a penguin in these outfits and the little, skull cap and whatnot, and then the headgear. But like I say, you look at the virtual sets and they're just stunning. And you imagine that if you were doing this with real sets in real time, or the amount of time it takes to change over to other sets, we'd be on it for 6, 7, 8 months. The sets are just awesome, and Chris kept saying, and yeah, they're not even finished yet, but it's fun because we'll look over. I was sitting in a simple folding chair with John Rhys Davis and Ian Duncan, and over on the monitor, Hennis had put us on a big white sofa. I guess he got bored, and you can sort of play around and do all of these things, but I'm like a kid in a toy store. I just love gadgets and gizmos, and whereas Wing Commander was really cutting edge in its day, here we are decades later, and Chris has done it again.
So fun working with Chris again, then.
So much fun. First of all, he has such a firm grasp of every aspect of the game, because I said, well, fax me, email me and let me download the material. After about 500 pages, I'm trying to make heads or tails out of it. He very kindly sent a synopsis, which was great. But like I say, at any given moment, I can say, at what intensity level are we? What happened immediately before? Does this come before that scene? I'd be lost without him. He's my guru, and he's so easygoing. He's not only got a firm grasp of what he needs from a technical point of view, but he's great with actors because, he's an accomplished director. He knows the problems we face. Very succinct in his direction. I mean, sometimes you can get overloaded with various levels of direction, and he comes in and tweaks what he needs, but he's just fun to be around. He's a great director, a wizard when it comes to computer games, and I'm very grateful that he's also a great friend.
Well, we look very much forward to seeing you, Mark, as Colton in the game, and also for the upcoming episodes after that.
I can't wait.
We'll be back. All right. Thanks, everybody.
All right, there you go. So we thought we'd take a few more questions in case anything came up from the interview that you'd like a little extra insight from us on, and then afterwards we'll get into the character pipeline and how we take the actor and the performance and visualize it in the engine and go a bit more of a deep dive than we did at CitizenCon. So let me take a look back at question. Question: will the Squadron 42 story have more meaning for more piracy-oriented characters? Will Mark's character be in the PU?
Redacted. No spoilers.
And there was a question. Do we want to answer the question that we saw earlier about...
Sure, we can. It was a question earlier about in the PU, is there sort of an overarching, light versus dark, good versus evil storyline? And sort of no. I mean, it's one of those things that we've always been sort of embracing this idea that there's a lot of moral grays, a lot of complexity to it. So, I mean, to some people, even among our backers, it's kind of incredible to watch because, among the community, there are people who think that the UEE is the evil empire, and there are people who think that it's a really good force of good that's, maybe made some mistakes but is trying and stuff like that. And so, just among the humans, there's a lot of conflict as to whether it's a good institution or a corrupt institution. And that is sort of the best sweet spot imaginable, because then you have, a lot of inherent narrative based off of people making decisions that you have to decide whether you agree with or you don't agree with. So, black and white, no. Lots of gray, yes.
Yes, there you go. And that was actually why we picked that. We picked the particular time in history as a model for what we wanted to do, to allow a lot of opportunity and intrigue and people to fall on either sides of the fence.
Yeah.
And we do have, like the Vandal, they're a fairly black and white,
pretty bad.
threat to humanity. But there's plenty of others like the Jean and the Banu. That's a very different setup. And even inside humanity itself, in the UEE, there's various factions, and so there's just a lot of opportunity for group play, dynamic. Sort of allegiance shifting and things to sort of evolve.
Right.
So we thought it would be a great sort of fertile ground for narrative as well as players making their own narrative.
Yeah, and I've gotten to sit in on a handful of arguments among people of like whether the UEE is evil, which has just been hysterical and amazing to sit and listen to. It's like people arguing very passionately about like no, it's horrible and it needs to be smashed down, and they're like, no, it's the thing that's keeping the enemies at bay, and it's the only thing that's keeping us alive. It's amazing.
All right, let's see. Questions. Will there say localization with professional German speakers, original voices from the movies? So we are going to try and localize the same way we did on the Wing Commanders, which means that we would do the voices if the person that does Mark Hamill or Mark Strong or Gary Oldman's available. We would hire that same voice person. It's what we did on the Wing Commanders. So yes, the idea is full localization in German and French. Potentially in Spanish, so we will go from there, and not many different than what we did on the Wing Commanders. All right, let's. Do you go up in rank in Squadron 42, and with that new maybe commands, and then it's scrolled off. So
the chat roll.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we had been. That was one of the.
I think we're going to let you. You'll be able to earn medals, commendations, and progress a little bit in rank. But obviously, we need to give you room to also grow in the next two games in the trilogy. Let's see. How does it feel? Question is, how does it feel that Mark didn't even read the script before he accepted it? Kind of nice, because that's a really good relationship. I mean, it also means that he trusts, myself and the team that I was working with to do right by him. I mean, we talked about the character. I mean, the problem is when you've got a 700-page script, you can't really sort of just go, boof.
You can't. It just horrifies people.
Yeah, and we were writing all the way up through production anyway, just because it was so big. So we sort of talked about the character. We had the story figure. We had the story. We had a fair number of. So we shared some key scenes. And we sort of said this is kind of what, and at first it was sort of like, well, the character, the call signs old man, and didn't want Mark thinking, oh, you're an old man now. And actually the reason for the call sign was that was something he got when he was very, very young, as in our narrative. Like it was, it's a reveal later on, but he was the old man of his first squadron that he was on. And so, I had that discussion, explained that. And, and I think he kind of enjoyed it, because he's sort of like, the grizzled veteran, and it was kind of fun. And we had a lot of giggles and laughs on the set as we were shooting, for a lot of ways, because not only Mark was sort of like, super disapproving, angry father figure, but the player, because we have different options for when the player says things. So, the player could be like, sort of patsy or like complete asshole, and so we would, like, some of the lines we would do, we'd play around with them, but we were like, oof.
Yeah, he would come off a little harsh.
Yeah, we'd be like, what a dick. But that's kind of the idea, right? You get to choose sort of like how you want to respond, how you want to be as a person, how you want to respond, how you want to interact with people. So I'm going to take one more question, because I'm getting my stage manager over here. Let's see. Question: what was your inspiration for the script? Did that thing just go away? No, that was a good one. Hang on a sec. It's gone somewhere. Damn it! It's chat roll. Well, there was something about this inspiration for the script, so why not? Let's we'll riff from there.
Yeah.
So our inspiration for the script, I mean, I think we was partly like a couple of things we liked, right? We like sort of Heart of Darkness, Apocalypse Now. We also like the idea of the Lost Legion, like the Ninth Legion that got lost beyond Hadrian's Wall.
Right.
And so that was sort of the kind of what started to formulate this big overarching story we started to work on, and we sort of wanted to do sort of the,
the build-up.
The build-up, right? And also kind of that, working hard for approval of someone that you care about, right?
Yeah,
and I think
it's
that's
sort of your origin story in a sense. Like it's you finding your footing in the military, and
Yeah, and maybe rendering that in a way that has nuance and detail that you haven't done, that hasn't been done before.
Yeah.
So, because I mean, that's one of the big, like I mentioned earlier on when we were talking about, is one of the big problems we have is that, like, if you notice, if you look at movies, typically movies don't like cover vast amounts of time or really complicated stories because they tell in 2 hours, with incredible detail and texture, like
90 minutes is not a long time.
90 minutes, or even 2 hours, or even 3 hours isn't that much of a time. When a lot of times it will be like kind of like Die Hard or something, where like it's one night he's thwarting the terrorists, or something that happens over a day or 2 days or something like that. 3 days of the Condor or whatever.
Right.
It's not usually it's not talking about years. And when you do those, you sort of need bigger canvases. It's kind of, Lord of the Rings sort of had a bit of that, but even Lord of the Rings is over probably, I don't know, what would you say, that months or something? I don't know. I can't remember. But anyway, it felt like months to me. But the point is to tell it with the filmic detail, you can't really have these huge, like a same huge story you would have in a novel. And that's why short stories tend to be better than novels when they translate them to movies. And so we decided, we're going to go with this real sort of new character and really spend the time on all the various main characters and secondary characters. And so to do that justice at this sort of filmic level we're doing now, we've got to make this overall story, sort of this journey, be kind of more like a trilogy. And that kind of fits because Wing Commander really for me 1, 2 and 3 was sort of this Karathi trilogy. But those were kind of the genesis. I mean, I guess what are some other like inspirations of our sort of dysfunction? I mean, I know we occasionally say The Rookie, it's not a very good movie, but it was the relationship between Clint Eastwood and Charlie Sheen was kind of fun.
Yeah, I mean, there are a handful of references. I mean, Aliens, I will always look back to. For me, Generation Kill was a big thing because it was the way that they depicted the military in it felt very, the characters really shone
real
through.
Like just like real people in that situation.
Yeah. I mean, there were a handful of things that we sort of drew from over the course, because again, 750 pages and there's
a lot.
80 characters. I mean,
we definitely have a bit of Top Gun in there too.
Oh yeah, most definitely. No Iron Eagle though.
No Iron Eagle. We do have some fun. There are in the game. There's going to be some really awesome Top Gun Easter eggs. I'm not going to ruin them now, but if people do certain things, then certain things will happen later on, and I mean, it will go to show the fidelity that we can put the thing in. But we definitely did that kind of stuff. So I'm kind of pretty excited to see people, like when they do the playthrough videos or whatever, see that come out down the road. Okay, so I think that was our last question. So now we're going to sort of talk about the character pipeline. So what happens? We talked about the performance side, but this is sort of what we're doing to sort of bring the fidelity of the characters up to be as good as possible. Not just for the face, but we're trying to sort of take the actual, the meshes, the body, all the rest of the stuff to the next level. What we showed at CitizenCon was very, very early on. I think we're going to go through the pipeline a bit in the video here to sort of kind of describe some of the steps. We're still in the process of sort of pushing it and R&Ding it. So what you saw at CitizenCon is going to be way, way, way beyond. I mean, what we're going to end up with is going to be way, way beyond what you saw at CitizenCon. We are using all the kind of next generation techniques for sort of character that you're seeing in the very, very cutting edge of character stuff now, because we want to make this as sort of real and realistic looking as possible, and match the ships, because the ships, if you look at the ships, I mean, the team that we have building the ships have done just an amazing job. I mean, if you look back on what I first showed in 2012 when we launched crowdfunding to what you're seeing now and the level of fidelity and detail, the detail on the Idris, the detail on the Gladiators and the Hornets and all the rest of the stuff. It's and again, we're still trying to make that better and push it. So without further ado, let's roll the pipeline video.
There's lots of pipelines in something considered a character pipeline because it spans across different disciplines. And generally what a pipeline means is how to get from one location to another location. So in case of a character, the overall character pipeline is how to start from no character to an idea to the final character actually in the game.
Figuring out exactly who we go to at what time, what task has to be done by a certain guy, what's going to block other things from getting done, and in the end, do we get all the content that we need to be able to technically do what we want to do.
The first step is, you have the actors in the studios and they're kind of capturing all their movements, facial expressions, everything, their acting performances to get all the data that we need to provide that information to the character and the skeleton to kind of bring these characters to life once we actually get the game object.
The UK's role within this pipeline is really on the animation front. We've got a gentleman by the name of John Jones who works out in the UK. He corresponds directly with Cubic as well as 3Lateral to receive all that data in.
For example, with Mark Hamill's scan set, we'd run through the 87 poses and it breaks down the face into every minute muscle movement, break down the smile into how it pulls the muscles in every direction, and that enables the guys in Serbia to recreate that movement on the head rig, which means we can pretty much get a one-to-one between the real Mark Hamill and the face rig.
When there's an animation that comes in, he will always review it, and then if there's any changes that he needs to make, he'll make the change, then export that into Engine, and then it's up to myself or Forrest to review it.
Through that data, we kind of build the 3D mesh that's very high and very dense. And then we basically have a basic topology that we use for all of our heads, which is our edge loops, our vert counts, our face sizes. And then we have that, in a way, morph to these high-end 3D scans, and that automatically maps all of your surface area for all your faces to the 3D data.
But then once it's actually in, then that's going to be up to Stephen Bender, the animation director, to make sure that it all looks as it should.
And I work with the animators in developing those motion capture animations so that they work well in the game, they're fluid, they have a good aesthetic value to it. And then I also work with the designers in implementing that as well as the programmers into the final product.
And then all of a sudden you have this head that perfectly matches, an actor. Once you have that, we can start actually putting our skeleton on there.
So one of the unique things we do is we use a muscle-based system underneath the skin. So we add a bunch of joints and muscles that deform the skin correctly as if it had real muscles. So game engines can't really handle muscles, but we use some proprietary tricks that make it work in the engine.
Start with the movements, you go to the mesh, and then you go back, grab that movement data, add it to the skeleton, and now as the skeleton moves, you apply all that movement data that we got, or mocap, so to speak, and bring this topology that's now been morphed to the character's head kind of to life. And now you can start seeing them move because we got the skeletons on there and so on. Once we have that, it's time to take this kind of gray head and then actually get it into the game to be able to start applying our diffuse maps, our normal maps, gloss, speculars, subsurface scatters, kind of these maps that are generated from these character faces through a series of photographs with each its own specific purpose.
We're not going for a pre-rendered approach, like lots of games actually pre-render their scenes with very high bitrate, so you don't see that they're pre-rendered, but they're pre-rendered. We want to try to get it in real time, but our facial structure is so complex. It's basically cutting edge. That means like we need to really optimize in a clever way so we can actually have, 4, 5, 6, 7 characters on a bridge in highest fidelity talking to each other while the player is present in real time.
As we build the pipeline, the faster it's getting.
You have your animation pipeline, you have your modeling pipeline, you have your conceptual pipeline, we have our facial scan data pipeline, we have our hair pipeline. So there's all these different pipes that kind of build this system that we use to actually get from the very beginning to the very end. Sound. I don't know sign language.
No sound?
Hey, sound is good. Sound is good.
Sound is good. All right, we're back.
All right.
It's all over. Okay, so let's see. Waiting. All right. Sound back. Brilliant. Fantastic. Okay, so I don't know why I didn't know why it was on. It was on before. So you missed my red one joke with Jared. Thanks to Forrest. Okay. Now everyone's telling me that they're sound. Okay, so let's take some questions about the character pipeline stuff. I've got Forrest here on hand to answer. So I will now look at chat. Okay, we're still asking questions about VR headsets. We will support VR, and we will try to make it work in Squadron 42. The only issue is going to be in some of the cinematic scenes, potentially. So it has the same challenges that every VR game does. So there's the answer. But yeah, VR should be working in Squadron 42 and Star Citizen. All right, now let's get back to questions about the character pipeline, please. Did any of the actors ask to have their body models change for the better? Well, I mean, not really. Mark did joke that, like, if we make him 6 foot, that would be really cool because, he's not 6 foot. But no, not really. I mean, everyone was actually quite great. I mean, as you can see in the videos, I mean, they're all in these sort of grey jumpsuits, and it's not, you've got a silly thing on your head, so everybody looks kind of ridiculous, and it's really just being about the performance and acting, and you get into that. So everyone really, put the vanity aside, and of course you don't really do proper makeup as well, because you've got to do all these dots on the face to track everything. So instead of you look like you're in the cast of Cats, as I think Mark said in his interview. Okay, so let's go. Okay, how long does it take to get a top tier character through the pipeline?
Well, so we've actually come a long way since the original implementation that 3-lateral began with Rise. Back then, it used to take about almost a full year to take the head go all the way through the pipeline. And now with the help of like John Jones and Vineet and Sean Tracy and 3-lateral really nailing down the process, we're almost doing a month per head with concentrated art support, which is considerably better, and it keeps getting faster and faster, which is a pretty awesome achievement. And we have a lot of heads to do, so it's really great that we're getting them out that quick now.
So we got someone asking in all caps, how many bones in your tunes, which I'm assuming he means our characters. I hope anyway. So a lot, but
a lot. Yeah. So we're up around about 200. So we're like way up
for
there
the face.
For the face, just for tier 0. Yeah.
And then the body. I think
that's a
Sean, isn't it about 400? I last looked on a tier. No, that's a tier 1 character.
Sorry.
Come in here. This is Sean Tracy.
This is Sean Tracy.
My partner in crime here.
We're very close, Forrest and I.
Yes.
We've spent many a nights together.
No, it was about.
Oh wait, over Skype.
Yes.
So
yes.
Not many a nights personally together.
It's about 400, right? Bones.
It's just under 400 bones. It's over. Really, the easier way to think about it is in terms of controllers, because we have so many different blend shapes, so many different bones. There's a lot of things going on the face all at the same time. So we're just approaching the 1,000 mark of controllers. So anytime there's an animation, we don't differentiate between the blend shapes or the bones. It's actually just the number of controllers. So yeah, just about 1,000 controllers, and then on top of all of that, we got something that we call texture performance. So we've got 44 different areas on the face that can wrinkle, normal map, do all these sort of animated diffuse, which is pretty cool too. So
I'm getting you a chair. Hang on a second.
I'm actually fairly comfortable.
Yeah, I know.
It might give me a raise. I don't know. Really cool.
All right.
Oh, let me
shift
scoot
around.
over.
Yeah.
All right, there you go.
There we go.
It's Forrest and I, professional as always.
Yes, of course.
That's cool.
Okay, just make sure you see the.
Hello.
There we go.
More red.
All right. Okay, I don't think we'll ask the do male characters 1 extra pipeline.
Just a couple steps in the.
Yeah.
How does the character pipeline handle all the mocap requirements for each ship? Okay, so
for each ship.
Yeah, so I think they're probably talking about how do we handle the fact that we have all these ships that not only you're walking around, but you've got to get into the airlock or get into the seats.
Yeah, the real point there is a lot of standardization. That's really the best way we can go about that. Just to make sure that all the metrics are really respected across all of the different ships. With that said, when we started making the metrics, we already had quite a few ships. So actually, that standardization is pretty broad in the sense that we've got a couple different types of airlocks, we've got a couple different types of seats, we've got a couple different types of turrets. But again, what we want to do is make sure that it doesn't ever become any slower to make any of this, because the thing with any of these pipelines, whether it's motion capture, whether it's bringing models in or anything like that, you've got half the time it takes to make an asset at least 3 or 4 different times. So the first time you make it, it takes 6 months. Second time you make it, it takes 3 months. Next time you take it, it goes to 1 month, and then you get it really as fast as possible. And that's why we're still going to be able to deliver within the amount of time that we've got.
Yeah,
really.
One thing that we found very early is we had to standardize and streamline all of the the way that everything interacts with the animation. So for every manufacturer, we kind of make sure that the template for the cockpit, where the things are located, how far you have to reach, is standardized per manufacturer. So we get some variations across the different manufacturers, but then it also falls over to the ladders and the steps. And so everything like that needs to make sure that we have little scenes and little test scenes that we can make sure that everything lines up and stuff like that. So
yeah, exactly. So really, it is handling a lot of data, but on the engine front, we do a lot of pretty good tricky things that we're able to do because we're running on PC right now that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise right now.
All right, I'm gonna have to remember a couple of questions since Jared's laptop auto locked while the chat realm. So I think Aaron went to go track Jared down.
Well, one thing we could talk about is the new Marines and the modular armor system and stuff like that. We've been working on that. So
I don't think we haven't shown that bit. I talked about it in talked about it a little in 10 for the chairman, but about how we're going to try to have a different approach for. So it's not like, you buy light armor, medium armor, heavy armor. It's just that you have a base suit and then you can have armor pieces, and some can be light, medium, heavy.
Which ties in with the persistent universe, right? The whole idea is all the clothing are attachments, and you have shirts, and you have gloves, and you have pants, and you have shoes. And everything could come in and out and swap and is all compatible.
And there's so many different levels to that and reasonings behind it, right? When you're making a sort of a single-player only game, there's so many things that you can do, be writing directly to the client and things like this that you can't do when you're doing an MMO. So, at the very core of everything in Star Citizen, for characters, for ships, has to be an item. Right. And then what we end up doing is having a base rig, and we even have a system called skeleton extensions that we can then kind of completely extend the skeleton. So theoretically, you could start with a character that just has a single bone of a pelvis, and then it's like, okay, there's the thigh bone that comes with the thigh attachment. There's the calf bone. There's the feet, and you can build up the skeleton as you need to, right?
Exactly.
So the same idea is going to have to go for armor. Now, I'm not saying you're going to go, here's my thigh armor, here's my calf armor. That's going to get a bit too granular for anybody really to want to work with, I would think, and for anybody to really want to play with. So what we're going to do is make sure that the gameplay design and the actual tech that goes with it go hand in hand. So the gameplay design that is all surrounding the armor is going to allow for that level of customization and give reasons to do that customization, because that's the other problem. You've got games like GTA, and so when you can have different outfits, and really it just becomes a cosmetic thing. And of course, we still want to give the players the chance to have the level of customization that they want to have. If a guy wants to be wearing a pink shirt and purple pants and polka dot hat or whatever, then great, that's fine. But when it comes to the armor sets and actual gameplay that you're going to be doing, we want to make sure that modifies the gameplay in some sort of way, right? Because there's no point to put on, I'm just throwing out weird examples, like a bionic arm if it does nothing, right? Like, if it's just a visual sort of improvement, then, that's no fun.
And what's fun about the system is how similar it is to the ships. We're starting to make everything kind of the same. So the way that you could have ships and you have your item attachments, weapons, components, stuff like that, that.
Yep.
We're doing the same thing with the characters, right? Whether it's armor or PU clothing,
Right.
the characters are almost like a ship, and they have these pieces that you can stick on and take
Yep.
off and upgrade and do all this stuff. So to see it all kind of come full circle now with the characters, the way the ship works, I think will be
And
great.
what's
for
really nice about that
and
is
the familiarity that they already have.
exactly,
right?
and what's really nice for that is, again, we've already got all these systems for the ships.
Right.
So why waste or go recreate a new system that would do pretty much the exact same thing that we're already doing?
Right, well, yeah.
And we've got to, again, it's just about being able to provide that content faster and faster and faster and faster every iteration as you go.
Yeah, but yeah, the base item system, same for ships, same for just different sizes and whether they can they can plug in or not.
It is kind of fun.
So there was a question that
You
was.
get-
I'm just saying.
go right ahead.
I talk a lot.
He's boss, that's fine.
No, I don't mean now. I mean, I'm just saying ironically because everyone accuses me of always going on. But there was a question about how will the alien pipeline differ from the human pipeline?
In terms of gameplay, or actually,
I think
the technical pipeline
I'm
itself.
thinking about they're probably wondering how the pipeline's going to be different. You know, like we scan actors.
Right.
We've done body scanning. We've
Sure.
done face scanning, right? So, you know, what are we doing for the Van Dole? You know, we did, you know, I can't say who's playing what, but we do have actors playing the Van Dole, but obviously that will be slightly different than they won't be them as the human self.
Sure, and
but we are going to try and use parts of them, their performance, and infuse it into
Absolutely, and that's where you get the best characterization of these aliens, because you can always have an animator go in and just hand key sort of stuff, but you're going to get a very fake looking thing. You know, something interesting that we had worked on past projects, the animation director, Stephen Bender, we had gone out and gotten some ski boots that had this sort of reversed ankle sort of thing, so that when we had actors walking around, it looked really, really realistic, so that when we had the aliens in this particular game, they were quite believable. Now on the technical front, actually, it's going to be pretty similar, but we can do a lot more exotic things that you wouldn't be able to do with a human. So a good example is, you know, let's say there was a sort of predator-like dreadlock sort of tentacles and things like that. Well, we can have animated attachments that are sort of flowing. They're going to be physicalized, so they'll move around as you move around. It'll look really cool in 0G. There's some really cool stuff that think about transitioning within a walk cycle. So you might have a certain type of alien that'll just walk like a bipedal creature, but as soon as he starts sprinting,
All of a sudden,
he actually goes down
exactly.
onto all
so we can
fours
do
and
these,
starts.
very animalistic type skeleton movements and the way that it changes and everything.
Right, but the only way that you can ever do that level of research is to ensure that you've already got a really, really solid fundamental pipeline first, because then you can start to tack on all this really
and we're
cool,
going to have to
fun,
write some new
exotic stuff.
shaders, the way that the skin
Sure.
reacts. We want it very, alien, right?
Sure, and that's really
different.
where that's really the fun stuff, right?
Yeah,
like,
that
I mean,
is.
getting the base fundamentals, and I'm not saying it's not fun, but it's not nearly as challenging, because of course these are things that have been done before. It's just how to do it to a scale that we're doing it at this
And
point.
establishing the human pipeline will allow us to have a starting point to jump off on and start doing more exotic things with the alien races. Which
So we're going to take two more questions and then we'll throw it back. So one was how much of the facial tech is going to be available for the character customization?
Oh, that's a great question, and actually that's something that we're researching actively right now. So the first step that we're going to do is give you character customization rather than character creation, and there's an important differentiation here.
Well,
because
I think this is the question is for ultimately, not what we're going to do.
Ultimately?
Not what we're doing short term for the sort of
for the customization.
post 2.0 baby PU stuff, but like I'm playing Squadron 42's finished, or Star Citizen, the sort of persistent universe is now what we consider ready for the general populace instead of just the backers. So our plan is to have the same tech, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, the same fidelity, the same tech, and in fact, we have we sort of have these base NPC heads, which I guess everyone's playing Fallout 4 now, right? So, you pick different base heads, and then you can change and morph, and we're going to allow you to morph between, so you can sort of do it. So you can be a male, be a female, various races and colors or shapes,
tweak
and
the shape,
the face
tweak
shape,
the makeup, tweak the eye colors,
dare I say blend shapes?
Yeah, right. Yes.
And the big thing is that you'll also because we have performance we've captured, but one of the big things that we're working on is sort of the real-time rig logic. So instead of what happens right now is all the stuff that, say, you've seen gets sort of baked out of Maya as an animation file, and then it drives the character's face talking in real time.
Right.
But instead of having it sort of driven out as an animation, there can be a rig logic that says this pose, that pose, and that all happens in real time. So instead of having that sort of offline happening in Maya, we're going to have it real time in the engine. And when we do that, what that means is that you can play the same, emotion, sign, face on all the faces, and you won't have any weirdness because it was built for this head, but it's been playing on this head. It will work seamlessly. So the real-time sort of face logic is a big component of that. But the idea is that you should be able to fully customize your face, a la Fallout 4. Dare I say it, with better
and even
rendering quality. But it will be basically the player head is what we call a tier 1 head. So we have a tier 0 head, which is about 40,000 polys, and about 400 blend shapes. The tier 1 head is about 11,000 polys, about 400 blend shapes. To be honest with you, it's actually quite hard to see the difference between a tier 0 and a tier 1. You have to get super up close to look at the little pore differences and stuff like that. Because a lot of times, you won't be able to show the difference. But pretty much everything's going to be at least sort of at that. The only difference between a tier 1 and say a tier 2 head basically is kind of like not really that much, right? The resolution,
the textures, the big one, the blend shapes, we save a bit of memory on that one. And then the overall animation compression that gets applied to it is one of the other things, because there's such subtle movement, and there's the CryEngine by default is very much set up for the sort of full body characters, and these subtle movements will get compressed out of the default compression super quickly. So we got to make sure that we're really not that aggressive on the compression for like a tier 0 and even a tier 1.
Well, that's also why the rig logic comes into play, because then when you have the rig logic, you're not compressing any animation. You're basically playing tokens of facial poses, and that gets played. And so that would mean that your animation quality on a tier 0, tier 1, or tier 2 would not be any different. And then it would just be about how many base poses you have for that. But I believe even for our tier 2s, we still do 70 odd poses when we've captured them. So yeah, the idea is you should talk on the quality level should be kind of look like offline rendered cinematics versus what you've traditionally seen real time. So I think last question, and then we'll throw it to Ben and Sandy, is there's quite a few questions I saw here going back and forth about hair simulation, facial hair. So maybe we want to talk about kind of some of the things we're doing. We definitely have a lot of physicalized simulation, so there will be cloth simulation. There's a whole sort of system. We have a incredibly talented sort of animation engine programmer called Evo 60 Hertz Egg. We call him 60 Hertz because he only ever does videos at 60 Hertz.
He won't look.
He is actually he is the engineer that wrote CryEngine. He was there at not CryEngine, CryAnimation, which is the animation component of CryEngine. He was at basically Crytek from Far Cry, right?
Oh wow, yeah, since Far Cry and Kohlberg.
So built all the, and so we're lucky enough to have him be part of us, and so he is sort of working out the core engine stuff. We'll be doing the rig logic stuff, and he wrote a really nice sort of physicalized simulation where we have like cloth. So if you have a jacket on, you'll see some secondary physicalization of animation,
and again that extends to kind of everything, and that goes back to sort of this skeletal extension that we sort of talked about, where in a lot of games a huge problem would be carrying around all of these bones for all of the simulation. It was a problem for games like Rise or any game that really has to preload that skeleton and never change it. So with skeletal extensions, like you can imagine attaching hair that actually has all that rigging within it at runtime. So you're actually extending that skeleton, so that way you're not carrying around 8 different types of rigs for female hair. That's why classically in most games you'll see just a simple ponytail and that's it, because every single female will share that same 3 bone sort of.
And we have the ability to customize per character how we want
per item, which is crazy.
So you've got a jacket,
think about it.
You've
got a duster jacket. All of a sudden you get all these bones attached to it.
Your stomach could kind of
jiggle bones for the stomach, right?
Why not?
Right, and other parts. like your muscles?
Yes.
All right.
On that note,
got
they're giving us a cut us off.
Okay, so thanks, Sean and Forrest.
Thank you.
That was awesome. We'll definitely be doing more deep dives of the character stuff.
It's exciting.
And I think we're going to be throwing back to Ben and Sandy, and I'll be catching you up in a little bit. All right. Ciao, ciao. See you in a bit.
Ben.
So, are we back?
Yes, we're back.
All right. Hey, everybody. That was the man himself talking about Squadron 42, and specifically Mark Hamill's role, which, oh my God, we made a game with Mark Hamill. I never imagined we would be here 3 years ago when we were, closing out the original crowdfunding campaign. It's insane. This job is amazing. So to wrap up our talk about Squadron 42, Sandy and I thought we'd share that Star Citizen and Squadron 42 will be appearing on the cover of not one but two major PC gaming magazines in the next couple weeks. Here is PC Gamer in the US. This is their regular cover. This is the newsstand cover you can look for, I believe, starting next week. And if you're a subscriber, you get one that looks like that, which is pretty cool. I didn't realize magazines were doing that now, where they have a fancier subscriber version. So look for that in newsstands. Subscribe to PC Gamer. It's you're going to learn all about making of Star Citizen, Squadron 42, and it's just very, very cool to have our game on the cover of magazine I read religiously when I was a kid. In fact, I thought I would share this with you. This is a photo from 3 years ago. It's like 3 years and 3 days ago. The December issue of PC Gamer back in 2012 had a little feature of us in the corner, and now we're the whole magazine. I don't know what they'll do next. Probably like next year we'll have like a cube-shaped magazine that has Star Citizen on all sides somehow. I also thought I would share this one. This was PC Gamer this time. Doing the math, seeing how old I am, 21 years ago, 1994. Is that right, 21? Yep. Mark Hamill coming back to gaming. Well, seems like a cool coincidence. For our friends in Europe, Germany specifically, we also have a GameStar cover, which is right here. This is their newsstand version, which I believe you can look for second week in December. And here is their subscriber version. So Mark Hamill is all over the place in magazines. But we are here to talk about more than just Squadron 42. We have a whole universe we're working on building. And part of that, as you all know, is even more ships. And to talk about one of our other new ships launching, this is why we don't do ATV live, because I'm terribly awkward. Avenger variants. We have Avenger variants, and they are going to be flight ready with Arena Commander 2.0, launching very, very soon. You've probably already seen on the RSI website the description of the three, but there is a cargo variant of the Avenger, which we're calling the Titan. There is the standard police bounty hunter variant of the Avenger with the cells for capturing prisoners. That is the Avenger Stalker. That's the one that everybody has right now. It's the mid-range, so if you actually want to switch to a cargo variant, you save a little money. And most excitingly, we have the EMP version, the Avenger Warlock, which will be kicking off fully functional in AC 2.0, not AC, Star Citizen 2.0, and that is why we have Calyx here.
Hey. Yeah, we've got the new EMP gameplay coming in, which actually takes some of the stuff we've played around with previously, the distortion damage that we had on Sucker Punches, which came with, I think we had it on the Avenger and also on the Cutlass, doing direct damage to target's power supply, to components' ability to actually function rather than destroying them outright. The EMP module that comes on the Avenger Warlock is a huge, like 2,000 kilogram beast that takes up the entire back of the ship. It's pretty prominent part of it.
One thing I should point out to folks at home, The variants for the Avenger are much more akin to the module upgrades available for the Retaliator. We're offering them as variants through the site right now as single packages, just because that's what's going to let you fly them in Star Citizen 2.0, Alpha 2.0. So you do not need to buy all three. Eventually you will be able to pick up, the cargo module or the EMP module individually if you already have an Avenger. So upgrade to the one that's most exciting for you, and you'll have the option to pick up the other Battlefield upgrades in the near future. And I completely forgot we have some art to share also.
Nice.
So this is these are from the guys in the UK who have been working on the different rear modules. This is the cargo with netting, and what is there to show about cargo? It's a lot of empty space. This is the EMP module that Felix is talking about.
It's nestled pretty well inside the cargo, or what was sort of the cargo bay of the Avenger hull, and so you can sort of see the resonating chamber there. When you activate the EMP, it starts charging up, and it has to build up a great deal of energy, which it will then release when it detonates, and everything in range will be affected, including your own ship. And the only way that you can really counteract those effects is by turning off your components. So power management is going to be more critical than ever, especially when you see an Avenger fly by, because you'll be able to you'll bring down your own ship to prevent someone else doing it forcibly, and so you'll be able to have more control over when you come back. Shields also affect it, so if your shields are on, it'll drastically reduce the range of it. It's a relatively short range effect to begin with, so you'll have to really get in close to completely cripple somebody, but it'll...
But this is pretty cool. We're seeing much deeper gameplay, even for the combat, than we've seen in Arena Commander.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be strictly about causing direct damage all the time. Like simply being able to affect behaviors, make it so that people have to repower cycle their ship, reboot it from scratch even. It'll be, especially for when we bring in our engineering stations on our multi-crew, that's going to be a big part of it.
And here is the final one. This is the Bounty Hunter, the rear area where you can lock up your captives.
Okay.
And we're really pleased with this. Avenger is a favorite of all of ours, and it was great to finally be able to revisit it and to add so much gameplay to it that's going to be available much sooner than expected. I will also say that launching with 2.0 is the now hangar ready Vanguard.
Yay.
And I will find that and show it to you.
I'm excited to have the Vanguard in.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
So
probably my favorite
the
ship.
Vanguard, developed right here in Santa Monica. He's going to go into the hangar with Star Citizen 2.0, and here are some of the first shots of it on the ground. This is part of a new process we're testing out, where we're going to be bringing ships into the hangar sooner while they're still in what we call the gray box phase. So while this ship looks very, very, very pretty right now, it's actually missing some decals and other work that will get added to it as we go. But we want to get you guys into your ships as soon as possible, and this is the first part of that initiative. I mean, we just launched the Vanguard earlier this year, and it's already you'll already be able to check it out in person. And with that, I'm going to check my schedule to see what's next on the live stream.
The nouvelle employee.
Oh, yes. Well, why don't you...
We must have to find him, though, because he's not here, I don't think.
And
I don't think anybody else understood that, because it was in French. Our new employee.
Oh, Vincent?
Well, way to spoil it. Now they know it's
thank
Vincent.
you. Thank you.
Actually, we are hiring folks so fast that we have 2 new Vincents. This is the second one.
We do. We have Vincent Sinatra, who's in QA, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
He'll be leading QA here in Austin. He's not the Vincent you're about to meet. but
have a new
there is a
bounty of
Vincent coming.
Vincents.
We do. We have a new bounty of Vincents, and I guess we should replace Calix. Thank you.
Get out of here! We got a
Yeah.
Vincent
So yeah, nous avons un nouvel employé qui travaille avec moi et il s'appelle Vincent Galopin et il vient de Paris.
Hi everybody, glad to be on board, very excited by the team and the project. Looking forward to the journey with you guys, and a big shout out maybe for the French guy.
Sure, en français.
Bah, bravo et félicitations aux gagnants du concours de referral. Tu représentes bien la communauté. Bonne continuation.
Yeah, and what was his name?
Why that is
Alpha
AlphaCast.
Yeah, and for those that didn't understand the French part of that, our winner or person who is in the lead at the moment for our referral program is part of our French community.
And I should also say our referral program is not forgotten about. We're going to be adding some new tiers. Check out ATV in the coming weeks for details, because we know some people have already gone way above and beyond what we expected them to. So more rewards coming, more reasons to share Star Citizen with friends. If you've already passed those rewards, you will get them anyway.
I do think we should give him a crucible while we're at it.
Absolutely. Let's give him the very first crucible off the line.
Yeah. So Vincent works with me. I don't think we mentioned that in English. So Vincent, he works with me in the marketing department. He's our new marketing manager. And he did say that he's excited to work with us.
Very excited.
So I have just been working with him. We've been downloading everything onto him, and he hasn't left yet. So that's a good sign. You were working for a company in Montreal before us.
Yeah, a little indie studio that actually just released their game today, called Mordheim City of the Damned, an adaptation of a tabletop game from Games Workshop. Check it out on Steam.
Cool. Yeah, and we've already got a T-shirt on him, and so we've got a lot of exciting stuff that he is going to be doing. One of those things that we're working on, and I'm just sealing the sponsors right now, is the next Great Star Marine. And we will announce that live and everything on the site on our next live stream. And the first submission part, kind of like how we did the next Great Starship, will be a helmet, and then a Titan suit.
Yes, the Class 9 Titan suits. We talked about those very, very early in the campaign. I know they've been the realm of speculation for a long, long time. In fact, whenever we show our internal Confluence Jira stuff to outsourced artists, they always find the mention of the Titan suits. They're like, oh, we want to design that one. But we are giving this to the community. We think you guys can probably build some pretty cool mechs.
Yeah. So we have some great prizes, and we're going to have Mark Skelton back, Sean Tracy, Forrest, Stefan, and a couple of other judges, Chris, of course. And Mark Skelton apparently has a great wardrobe of ugly shirts for the competition, so that'll be a fun thing. And we have the SciTech pre-sale that's also going to go on pre-order next month.
Yes, that is a great segue to our next thing, which is exactly that. Let me bring up some images while you tell the folks at home.
Yeah,
going on.
there will be pre-signed HOTAS, right?
Yes.
And those are, is it $149? $149.99, right? $149.
I believe so.
Yeah, $149, and then the keyboard is $199. And is that signed by Chris as well?
I'm not sure where Chris's signature is on this. I think it is.
It's definitely on the HOTAS. We will make sure that this is locked down before it goes on the site, but just giving you a heads up so that you know that they will go on sale then. And the delivery is April-May for those two items. And Ben is bringing up the pictures.
I'm trying to remember the pictures. They seem to be much.
And for those of you trying to get on the site, we have thousands of people trying to concurrently get on right now, so that's why you might be getting a 502 bad gateway error. Oh, what's happening?
It's not going well. There we go.
Oh, there we go. Okay, great.
This is the part of the HOTAS. Yay.
Yay.
You can see see it has
So I'll put all those up on the site. There's also a bunch of copy that we've been working on that have more detail about, the fabrics, what it does, the specifics of what it does.
do?
What does it do? That sounded very intelligent.
So we will be having all sorts of details about this in the coming weeks. We'll kick off the pre-orders in December with our next big live stream.
Mm-hmm.
But it's turning out to be a really cool piece of kit.
The keyboard is very cool too.
Yes. Shall I risk trying to find a picture of the keyboard? No, let's just leave it at this one, which is the whole kit and caboodle.
It's cool. And so Vincent's been working with SciTech and our other partners. I guess they're called Mad Cats as well. SciTech Mad Cats.
SciTech sounds cool.
Yeah. And what else have we been doing?
Lots.
Everything, yeah.
Videos.
Yeah, videos,
You
social.
came in exactly the
I know.
worst time because we're in the process of moving.
Exactly.
I don't know if we mentioned this earlier, but we're still in the old Santa Monica office right now. We just rearranged the art fit to look cool.
Yeah.
And so everywhere else is boxes and empty walls. And
We are moving tomorrow, and 2.0 is like closing down, and what else is happening? Everything just happened. We had the live stream, so Vincent came on Monday, and it was
Under fire.
Yeah, just this big head explosion. So wait, what's happening? Okay, Archimedes sale.
We've got another ship to talk about.
Okay.
But
That wouldn't be Vincent.
With all respect to Vincent, he's not the guy who designed this one.
Okay.
But
This is the
man
hot
who
seat
is
where we
here.
just
Bye bye everyone.
Get out of
See you
here.
soon.
We need some like handcuffs or something.
Here is Kermach, who has been involved in, I think, in some way, in several of the ships we've introduced today. You did the chair for the
Crucible.
And now here's one this one is all Kermach. This is the
I love this one.
This is the Archimedes.
So I wouldn't say it's all me. Elwin did the Merlin, which was originally concept by Ryan Church. So a lot of people have had their hands on that, but I definitely helped modify the Merlin to become a more luxury race car Archimedes.
Tell us what the thought process for this one was.
Sure. So it's meant to go with the Phoenix, which is our luxury constellation, and basically it's a variant of the Merlin. So I was only allowed to change a few certain parts of it, and at the same time try and come up with a whole new feel for this ship, so it doesn't necessarily feel like just a new Merlin. This is supposed to be your race car version, your luxury version of that ship. So I was allowed to redesign the wings. I was allowed to take out the Gatling gun and put in a new intake, kind of manifold intake.
And the new intake is very cool. It charges,
right,
and it's going to provide some interesting gameplay in combat.
Yeah, definitely. For this ship, we wanted it to kind of feel like your bachelor luxury sports car that
your midlife crisis ship.
Your midlife crisis, yeah. Something that you want to take to the party, or maybe
I'm having a midlife crisis then, because I want one.
This is the one Sandy would show up to a party.
I know, I really
want
one.
In fact, to that end, you did a second concept piece that shows exactly that.
Yes.
There we go.
So basically, it's your sexy spaceship, luxury ship that you want to take to Terra, for example. And in this scene, I kind of made my own version of the Terra opera, or some kind of fancy space opera that you would definitely get all dressed up for and bring a hot date to.
I love this one.
I
I
love it
remember
too.
you told me you wanted to do something Sid Mead style.
Yeah.
You nailed it exactly.
Yeah, so Sid Mead, he used to do a lot of for his vehicle designs and stuff. He would always make these images where people were going to some futuristic party or something like that. So I kind of fed off of that a little bit because he's one of my favorite artists.
So if I don't have a Phoenix, I can still get one, right?
Yes, it's available as a concept blend right now. I think the guys downstairs are currently trying to get all the CCUs up and running on the site.
Yeah, I'm going to get one of these.
I'm very sorry, Turbulent.
Yeah.
But it's just a beautiful ship here. Some of the...
It's nice.
And I think along with the stats that we've given it, it's I think it'll be a lot of fun to fly and a lot of fun to own. And, it's a small ship, so you can get one for relatively cheap, but still have a lot of fun with it and hopefully win some races.
Is it quick? How quick is it?
Ask Ben. He should know the answer.
I do not. I don't know.
It's fast. It's meant to be fast
ships,
and nimble and take turns quickly and be able
Although
to
I will say,
maneuver.
speaking of speeds, we are working on a review of all the speeds of all the ships right now. In fact, I have a big spreadsheet in my email I'm supposed to look at right now. We know some are too slow and some are too fast, and we're getting that right shortly. But yeah, the Archimedes from Kruger Intergalactic, very cool ship, and just like the Merlin, this one will progress into the engine pretty quickly, I think, because we can just build it on top of the tech setup and everything that we've already done, and with the recharging supercharger thingy, technical term, it's going to be a good one. So.
Well, also in concept we took into consideration the modular aspect that we've started to incorporate with all of our ships, and so with just doing like new wing designs and only certain parts to the ship, it's actually going to speed up the process with us being able to get it in hangar and get it flyable for you guys relatively a lot quicker than normally it would have been. So.
In fact, this was a good one to see being made because that kept coming up. We're like, okay, let's redo the whole front. Like, no, it has to be modular with the other one. So, it's nice to see us setting our own rules and then following them. But you did a fantastic job making it feel totally distinct, despite being built on the original Merlin. So, thank you very much.
Well, yeah, it was a lot of fun. I hope everybody enjoys it.
Cool.
Go rock, everybody!
Thank you.
Yay. And now we are going over to Chris to talk about 2.0.
2.0? What's that? Nobody wants to hear about it.
No one wants to hear about that.
Let's back to you, Mr. Roberts.
Hello, everyone. Back. I'm missing my buddies Forrest and Sean and Dave from previously. So, I think most of you have all been wondering about 2.0 and when that's coming. So I'm going to have Aaron join me very shortly here. So we can sort of tell you and give you some information on what's going to happen. But one of the features that we're going to have in 2.0 is the Million Mile High Club, which we discussed briefly at CitizenCon, but now we're going to sort of show you a bigger deep dive of it. It's kind of cool. So check this out, and magically Aaron will appear.
Hi everyone. On this week's ATV Behind the Scenes, we're sitting down with Persistent Universe Art Director, Mr. Mark Skelton. Mark, how you doing, man?
How are you, man?
Good.
How's Disco Landborough today?
He's all right. He's all right. It's a little in retirement, but Jared Huckabee, community manager, is still here.
That sounds formal and sexy. I
Yeah,
like
it's
it.
yeah.
It sounds like you should be wearing a tux or something when you're talking to me.
I look good in a tux.
Do you? I don't.
It is. All right. So, back on track.
Anywho.
We're here today to take a look at the upcoming Million Mile High Club that will be introduced in Star Citizen Alpha 2.0. So you're going to take us on a brief tour? Maybe start with some concept art, maybe?
Yeah, let's do it. So a lot of the ideas that came about were, I don't know, we were bouncing around different ideas for what this place should be. I was a big proponent of using some previous assets that we had just because it makes the process go faster and we've already established it. So I used a little bit of some of the G-Lock bar to start with. Obviously we expanded it away from there, but so the G-Lock bar kind of, it was kind of like, already had that kind of industrial vibe to it a little bit, maybe a high, kind of a high-end, I don't want to say steampunk, but more like a high-end, nice industrial bar with like wood and some gold inlay and nice mood lighting and stuff like that. So kind of went in that direction, decided to start messing around with that. The first thing I did was start looking at other industrial bars that are real world. So there's a bar in LA that we kind of attached ourselves to. It's called the Edison Bar. I'll show you some of the stuff.
Bring that over to the screen.
Yeah, I'll show you some of this stuff. So the Edison Bar was really cool. It's got like this really interesting kind of industrial vibe that we were looking for. It's got a lot of like warm lighting in it, which I really liked, a lot of woods and stuff. So this was kind of the launching point for what I was expecting, you know, what I was trying to shoot for with this. I'll show you some of this. So yeah, that kind of classic high-end, you know, like cigar, you know, type bars that you would see in LA and various places. So with that, we first initially did a layout, which Behavior did a nice layout of the bar itself, and then I had Ken Fairclaw do a paint over of it, which I kind of went back and forth on. So after we kind of established what the layout would be, just a quick mock-up of the previous assets that we had. I had Ken do a paint over. We walked back and forth, or went back and forth with, again, the expectations and what the focus of the bar would be. Right off the bat, I felt like there was this big element right when you walk in that I thought was really cool. It's like kind of a mobile, like large sculpture. So kind of focused in on that and started Ken doing some paint overs here and there of it. Thought it would be kind of cool to reflect kind of a solar system kind of vibe to it, since obviously, you know, this is a
space game.
Space bar. So also incorporating some of the wood elements and brass, which would go with the whole vibe of the thing. So kind of started with that, started putting things in place. The other thing that we were going back and forth on was the logo for the bar. We ended up going with something more elegant, you know, the 890, and something more high-end, which, you know, the 890 is kind of a high-end yacht anyway. So we started bouncing it back and forth. Wanted kind of a NASA vibe, a little bit, you know. I know Chris was really digging on that, so we had some variations, and we finally kind of leaned towards like 2 and 3. After we kind of established all that, got the sign-off from design as far as the layout goes. Usually design, what they'll do is they'll walk through it and give us what's called a critical path. The critical path is the path that the player is going to traverse the most. So we concentrate on that, make sure that that path has enough interesting things in it and moves correctly enough before going forward. A lot of it has to do with, we don't want to, you know, obviously if you have a critical path, you don't want a lot of things in your way. You know, you have to walk around stuff and do all that because it kind of destroys the flow, you know, of the open area. So after we got that back from design, we started arting it out. And then since we had a lot of it established, I would say probably 50-60% of it's established from the G-Lock bar. We started with that and then started adding pieces to it to, again, pull it more towards a kind of a more high-end industrial vibe. So with that, I will show you what we came up with. So again, establishing the look and feel of it. I wanted dark metals and this nice high-end wooden floor to kind of accent how swank it is.
It's very swank.
Yeah, we did. I had a nice, we had some nice ideas about some material variations. So we got these like little soft walls, which I guess if you party too hard, you know, and you're staggering out to your spaceship, you don't wreck yourself. Just good. Bounce off the walls. We got this dude, super intimidating. He's gonna check your he's gonna check your stuff, man. Make sure you're who you say you are, or he's gonna beat you down. So then we decided to, originally, like, the door was kind of over here, so when you come out you kind of make a right, and that didn't feel grand enough. I mean, we wanted to make it feel like when you walk out of this elevator, which the elevator's right here, when you walk out you have this kind of red carpet feel, you know, very high-end, swanky, like you know, a New York club or something like that. So again, concentrating on style, you know, making sure that the style fits to what we wanted. These sculptures kind of, you know, reflects like the big sculpture inside, which you'll see in a moment. So I'm so excited. I'm going to the door. So then you walk in and it's like swing. So again, here's the big element I was talking about. We wanted something, again, like looking back at that kind of Edison bar, they had these really nice diffused lighting elements at the top. So we put those in there, which it kind of helps break the ceiling up because the ceiling's really dark, especially in places like this. The ceiling doesn't matter. Obviously, you don't want to focus on the ceiling. You want to focus on things around you. We went with a warm cool, which I'll walk over to the fish tanks in a minute. But the fish tanks added a nice cool element to like the nice warm floor. So your eye immediately is like, ooh, I want to go play with the fish tanks. So over here is the lounge section. The lounge. So you know, you and your bros can hang out and watch the Murray Cup races and you know, whatever you flip on TV. This is a nice touch. They because I like cigars so much, they decided that they should put cigars in the game for me. So I thought that was kind of sweet. So again, I mean, lots of wood, lots of nice leather fabrics, dark versus gold materials, which accent really well. Everything's lower lit, so you get darker corners, it's more intimate, and also it pulls the player again to the main section. So you walk down here, and here's our little swanky dance floor with the logo that we were talking about, which I thought turned out pretty cool.
Yeah, it does.
So here's this big element above you that's moving around. So initially we had wood in the interior of these. It felt too heavy. It felt like the thing would weigh 1,000,000 pounds. And so putting glass in there still reinforced the, you know, the high-end beauty of it, but made it feel a little thinner and not so heavy. So we put in this nice big fish tank.
People are gonna love that.
Yeah. I want to see Scuba Steve cruising through here.
Can we have Scuba Steve?
Maybe, yeah, maybe. There might be some little Easter eggs in here if you guys look hard enough. We'll see. See if anybody looks hard enough. For the bar itself, we decided to go with kind of a nice panoramic view of Terra. Just again, class up the place, make it feel, you know, higher end for sure. Have another big fish tank over here with a really swanky sculpture. Let's go over and check this fish tank out. Ooh, all that. God, this would take some money to maintain right here.
Yes, it would.
Good Lord. So again, using the cool tones to kind of set this corner apart. So you've got warm over here and cool, which kind of pulls you right over to this section. So you can hang out with your friends again, smoke some cigars. I like the cigars, man.
Apparently.
And so you also have your own bartender. You can come over and talk to Mr. Man, and he'll set you up with a drink, which I think his animations are off right now. You get the gist.
Yeah.
But yeah, we continued this Terra element like through the bar behind him. You can see like behind him it's kind of a full thing. Nice full bar, nice big area, nice seating. So yeah, and then there's a door over here.
There's a door over here,
which you cannot access right at the moment, but for future secret, top secret expansions, there may be something cool in here. Which check back, and I bet you there will be. But that's about it, man. I mean, it was a cool little space to do in a relatively short amount of time, reusing some higher end assets that we have and changing them, making them a little better. You know, we took some of the seats from, again, the G-Lock and kind of did little brass elements around it and put a nice brass strip on the floor. That made all the difference in the world. The floor originally was like just a big sheet of wood, so we decided to come in with accents and kind of gold inlay some of these elements, which break the whole floor up nicely. You can see it's just not an ocean of wood.
Red wood, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Again, like all of the lighting elements and everything kind of fall in line with the sensibilities of what we were trying to go for. So.
Well, very cool, Mark. Thank you so much for taking us on this look at the Million Mile High Club.
Sure, it was great working on it. Had a lot of fun.
For those folks who own the Million Mile High Club, you'll have access to it, to the first iteration of it in Star Citizen Alpha 2.0. And there's
invite me.
Yeah, I don't have one.
Yeah, invite me because I want to come hang.
Yeah,
with,
invite
with
us
the
so
cool
we
people.
can go hang with you and your Million Mile High Club.
Yeah.
Don't invite Ben.
No, Ben doesn't deserve it.
Guys, Mark, thanks a lot for taking us through.
Hey, well, thank you.
Back to you guys.
See you.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Pretty cool. I know one of the immediate questions is, why have we done so much on the Million Mile High Club, which applies to so very few backers right now? It's very, very important because it was one of our initial promises, and we're also going to be coming up with some cool additional ways to get access to such clubs, which you'll be hearing about in the very near future. Now, I'm joined right now by multiple Robertses.
There you go.
And Aaron are here to talk a little bit about 2.0. We're going to be taking questions from the chat roll, so that's the RSI chat roll. Please go in there, get your 2.0 questions ready. But before we do that, I'd like to hit one last RSI live stream tradition. Not a website crash, but updated images of the Idris. Paul Jones and the folks in the UK were kind enough to send over some of the latest artwork of the increasingly large former Corvette.
It's not getting any bigger. It's already big enough, I think.
Well, you guys judge for yourself. Here is a external shot. I mean, and obviously the cool thing this year is that all the insides are ready. Corridor. More corridor. You saw some of this during the Moro tour at CitizenCon, and we'll be having some more video on that in the not too distant future. Sleeping quarters.
That's the flight deck, flight control.
Yeah, flight control.
That's Tower B.
Flight deck itself. That's the Argo, right?
Yeah, and then we had a nice shot in the Mark Hamill face reveal in the game, where we flew in the front of the Idris, and actually in Murrow's tour we flew in the back of it.
And close it out with this beauty shot.
That's pretty cool.
It's a handsome frigate.
And I'm actually looking forward to, won't be in 2.0, but in one of the future releases we'll get things like the Idris and Starfarers flying around and seeing kind of what mayhem happens when we've got like really big ships, multi-crew ships, and small ships. So it'll be pretty cool.
It's gonna be
not
cool
not
just
just yet.
walking
Though. What's that?
It's gonna be cool.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be awesome. I mean, just even I think we've maybe done some sneak peeks on the Starfarer, but the Starfarer's massive.
Yes.
I mean, so what people don't realize, I mean, the big difference I think between what we do with our ships and the multi-crew ships is there's, you know, yes, other games have ships and some are big, but you don't really feel that. You're not inside it. You can't walk around inside it. They don't have crew quarters. They don't have all these various stations and things that you can do. Whereas in us, you know, we have it all done to this like incredibly high fidelity at first person, wandering around. But it's also a vehicle flying around that you can do combat. So it's a realized space in a way that like you haven't seen before in a space game. And I think it's one of the reasons why people sort of really respond to it, because it just feels like, oh, I could live on that ship and I could adventure on that ship, and so that's a big focus for us. The team's done an amazing job. The vehicle team, you know, we just promoted Nathan Dursley, who is you know, responsible for a lot of this and the look of the Aegis ships, the Gladius, the Avenger, to be the ship art director. And he's done an amazing job, and we have amazing folks at all our studios, you know, here in LA, in Austin, Texas, and in the UK. I don't think we have anyone in Germany working on ships at the moment, but it's probably our biggest, that and the environments are probably the two biggest sort of art departments. But yeah, I mean, it's fantastic to think that you can sort of have this living house basically fly around in the galaxy, and right now the Idris is sort of going to be the closest, biggest one of that would be sort of player usable. I mean, Javelin will be the stage beyond that, but that won't be done until basically Squadron 42 is out. But yeah, it's going to be cool. But you know, we should start small on you know, multi-crew. So you know, everyone's asking about 2.0. I don't know if they got questions. I guarantee you the first question is, when is 2.0? Is that right, Jared?
No! Don't tell him, Chris!
Well, I don't
When
know.
is 2.0 coming out?
I haven't. I brought the man from Del Monte who says yes or no.
So we are going to go on limited PTU today. We're basically going to go to some of the you know, to a limited amount of backers who are very, very good in the fort, you know, and basically reporting the bugs and so forth. So that'll be, I guess, mailed out to people when they have access, correct?
Yes. So we'll go to PTU for the first 1,000 folks. We pick those people from who has been really helpful in submitting things to the issue council. So if you want to be in early, help us stress test these things, do good bug reports. It helps the project more than we can say.
Yes, and
so from there we're going to basically, obviously we'll get going, we'll do some stress testing, we'll be fixing bugs pretty much on a daily basis, putting new builds out, and we'll continue this process over the next week or so until we basically go live and give it to everybody.
Yeah, and I think one of the big reasons, like this is a great example of what the PTU is good for, is that you know, there's still a few things that we know there are issues in there, but we don't have enough. We have a pretty big QA department, but we don't really have enough QA to properly stress test it. Correct. So I don't know how, you know, how many QA people do we have in total? Like maybe about 30?
Not even that many. I'd say we probably have about 22 probably worldwide. Yeah.
So and then of course they're in different time zones, so it's actually kind of hard to like get them all to play at once. So for us, you know, it's pretty big. 2.0. There's multi-cruise ships and you know, single cruise ships, and so you'll definitely have, you know, multiple people flying ships together, and so we really need to stress test it, get more people in. So I'm pretty sure PTU 2.0, the first one we do here, will fall over in a few places, and probably places that we haven't figured out when we've had you know, just our QA department on, but that's why we're doing it. And so hopefully over the next week or so, it's a little complicated because, you know, unfortunately for all you European folks, the American side of the company, it's Thanksgiving this coming week. So basically everyone's out halfway through Wednesday. So that kind of curtails the amount of work we can do. The European side will all be working like dogs.
We'll be working along, fixing issues, and so we can basically get new versions out and get it live for everybody as fast as possible. But like I said, the great thing is it's now time to get it in front of people, get feedback, fix any server related side stuff, fix other issues up, and just get you guys playing it and really enjoy enjoying it as much as we are.
And also when it goes to PTU, it kind of says it's almost there.
Oh yeah, so. No, it is. I mean, like I said, we've taken it about as far as we can internally, and now we really want to just, you know, get it out there for you guys. And so we're actually really, everyone in the company's been working really hard for this point, so there's a lot of people who are feeling pretty good, and then especially once we get it live to everybody out there, that's going to be fantastic. Really enjoying basically getting 2.0 out there, so you guys have got that, going into Christmas.
Yeah, and then I think the thing we were going to talk about, so I'm not sure we specifically said exactly what we have in 2.0, so Luke put this together, who's the lead designer on 2.0. Luke's actually based out of the UK, but for numbers, folks, there are 8 Com Array missions involving dogfight and EVA, 8 research missions involving protecting civilians, investigating unknown signals, 1 exploration mission of an abandoned station, 1 weapon-filled PvP station. It's almost like how many Christmases on the first day of Christmas. Anyway. 20 plus random encounters you can come across. There's an ongoing security battle between pirates and security in the Yellow Asteroid Belt. There's wreckage to scavenge in the Yellow Asteroid Belt. So you think there's about 3 hours of play just on the missions themselves, and then there's random encounters that's always going on. In terms of ships, I think currently we're limiting it between 12 and 16 actual ships, but we have max players much higher than that to be more like what you can do in ArcCorp, because obviously there's going to be multiple players on a multi-crew ship, and of course that's actually less load on the server than in one person flying an individual ship by themselves. So that's one of the reasons why we're doing PTU and then obviously going live, is to carry on pushing and stressing that. Location-wise, in the first big large, this is the first 64-bit location floating math is what we call sort of large world map. We have 3 moons, so we have Yellow that has an asteroid belt, Selen that has a station, which is actually where you start, Port Olisar, and Daymar that has a station. So of the 3 stations that you can sort of visit, or start on Port Olisar is sort of the kind of spawn point for us at the moment. We'll be adding more as we go along. The security post Korea is the PvP FPS location, which will have weapons. So I think we're giving everyone at least a pistol to start. But if you go to Port Olisar, to Korea, there'll be weapons that you can get to grab and have more than just a pistol, and you can take it from there somewhere else, or you can engage in PvP there. And then there's the Kovalex shipping hub, which is a sort of EVA exploration location. We have 9 repair and restocking stations that we call Cryastro ones, and then we also have the Gas Giant Crusader in the map. Of the new ships you'll be able to play, obviously we've talked about the Retaliator and the Connie, but we're also going to have the Avenger variants and the Warlock, which is actually a pretty big deal because it brings in EMP gameplay to it and has fully functioning sort of EMP devices, and also means that the sucker punch guns that will also sort of do distortion damage properly now. And we have the Vanguard hanging ready, which I think is actually pretty unusual for us, because that ship has moved pretty quickly, and it's partly sort of ship pipeline. I think we may have explained it before, but once we have a style guide down for the ship, so the Vanguard's in a Aegis ship, which is one of the reasons why you can now, because we've defined the materials and the standards and the stuff. So once we've got those style guides done, those ships move a lot faster. So one of the reasons why the Connie took a little while is that Chris Smith and Josh Coons had to really sort of build the Connie RSI proper in our final style, using all the tricks that we use with the custom normals and POM mapping and all the rest of the stuff, do it for RSI. And now they've done that on the Connie. Future RSI ships will be much quicker, and we're trying to sort of do that. We'll do it for Anvil, we're doing it MISC. So right now the UK team's sort of working on finishing off the Staff era, but it also means that the Freelancer, which you'll be getting soon, not with 2.0, but right after 2.0, we'll move faster because of the style guides for that. So those are the new ships you have available. Gameplay wise, obviously multi-crew seats, so there's other things you can do besides fly. Obvious ones would be gun turrets, but also engineering, sort of ship systems management. We have the new sort of refactored flight controlling, so that'll be really interesting because it does change up the way you play. There's a lot more fluidity. There'll be a bit of getting used to it. So some people may be like, "Oh, I'm not quite sure about this at the beginning," but I think it gives a lot deeper gameplay and also allows you to have a lot more nuance and fidelity to different kinds of ships. And so there's the precision flight mode, which is the low speed, high precision maneuvering one. The sort of space combat maneuvering, which is what you've had so far in sort of Arena Commander, but it actually has a whole bunch of underlying changes. We shut the thrust around. There's there's a sort of an error factor and jerk factor for the rotation and thrusters that give like more things to tune and more difference in the feel. A cruise flight mode, which is sort of the go super fast mode, but you're not in quantum travel mode, but you can't really maneuver very fast. And then obviously quantum travel, which is going to allow you to go around our map. You require fuel for that. You also require fuel for sort of the afterburner use, which is one of the reasons how you push yourself faster. So most ships aren't necessarily capped the same way they used to be in previous 1.3 and below. So that'll be interesting to see that. You can get in and out of your ships while in space. So both single seater and the multi-crew ships. We can recharge the laser weapons that you have, so I think we'll have laser rifles you can pick up in Port Carousel as well as the laser pistol that you start with. We have EMP, as I mentioned, with the Warlock functioning. Ship repair, there'll be pickups you can do. Moby Glass implementation for the mission manager and journal, which will track the missions you're given. Party system and player healing. So there you go. It's quite a pretty big feature list. It's probably the biggest functional feature drop that we've done. It really ties together a lot of the different aspects. In case it wasn't clear, FPS is fully functional in 2.0. You run around, you'll shoot. Obviously, over time, we'll be adding more animations and more stances and nuance. So there's a lot more stuff that we want to do with it. But the core FPS functionality will be there: shooting, running, gunning, all the rest of the stuff. And that will just sort of progress as we do more drops. We'll sort of be putting in the additional, like, sort of more fancy, like the kind of vaulting, ledge grabbing, and sliding into cover, kind of more flary stuff that you would do in FPS. But core's there. It's kind of fun right now, even just running around with when you get onto Port Carousel and get involved in combat. I will like to say that in Port Olisar, it is a green zone, so basically, people have smart weapons, so your weapons are sort of shut down when you're inside the green zone, so you won't be able to blast someone with your lasers or grief them inside a certain radius around Port Olisar. I'm sure people will find ways to troll and grief people otherwise.
We'll be watching.
But that's part of the deterministic nature of it. That's, it's all pretty exciting for us. Over the next couple of weeks, obviously, I'm sure the folks that are helping us on the PTU will be talking about how it's broken, but hopefully they think it's kind of cool. And then we'll slowly progress our way to getting to the point where we feel like it's stable for everybody, because we don't really want to be pushing it, 30 gigs to everyone every day. That probably would not be the best thing to do, or the best use of all the funds that you guys have generously given us so we can make this game. But we're all pretty curious and excited to sort of see you guys sort of run around this world. I'm really kind of excited to see what you guys do in terms of videos and streaming, and because I'm sure there's a lot of stuff that everyone's going to get up to that we didn't even have a chance to even think about. So 2.0 for everybody's almost there. It's going to the PTU today. We'll be working sort of around the clock to sort of update it and get the big issues out so it can go live to everyone as soon as reasonably possible. So I think kind of for the 2.0, should we take some questions?
Absolutely. In fact, you answered one question, and it I think took us to the end of the live stream, so we'll go a little bit late and take some community questions. Let me bring up chat roll here. All right, guys, hit us with your best 2.0 questions. Invites have not gone out yet. They're in the process of getting it to the PTU right now. Should be later today. Which multi-crew ship will be available for owners of multi-crew ships that are not in yet? Which I believe is the Constellation.
You would know. I don't know what we map. It's either the Retaliator or the Connie, right? So
we went with the Constellation in most cases, just because we thought it would give the most gameplay for people. Do we tell you there's a dedicated bomber, which is going to be a lot of fun blowing up things, but people who own Orions or Hull E's don't necessarily want that. So we've erred on the side of the Constellation in almost all cases.
Okay.
Let's see. When can we expect basic trading and cargo mechanics? We can't say when, but we can probably talk about.
I mean, that's going to be one of the, well, it's one of the things we're actually working on, but it's also one of the next things that we're planning on doing, because that's the whole point of the system we're putting out here, is A, to get it working, it's the large world, and then of course the next thing is that you want to travel from A to B, and you want to basically take cargo and do stuff. So I can tell you we're working on it, and obviously we will basically announce to you, as soon as possible.
Well, I think we have a new dastardly plan for our production process that we'll probably share in the future, not right now, but that we think will make the process better for everyone. So it's going to really be more about consistent releases to you guys, and less about locking on to a specific feature set. So we're trying to rationalize it in such a way that we have our development teams can work on a feature and get it to a point that it's ready to go live, but not sort of, because too often on some of our releases we kind of we have to have this minimum feature set in it, and so it sort of drags on, and maybe there's problems because development's always difficult. So we've got a critical mass now that we think that we can have a lot of feature development happening in parallel. We already have it happening, and then we're just going to sort of modify our sort of release methodology, and 2.0 is really the best framework for that, because we've got all the systems in there now, and so you're just going to sort of see things come in line. So when 2.1 comes on, and 2.2 and 2.3, they're all going to just drop with new sets of features. Now, we're not necessarily going to say exactly what those features are up ahead of time, but we'll be able to give you a forewarning when they're going, and I think it will be much better for everyone's sanity, both your guys and our guys, right?
Yeah, and I think it's just worth reinforcing how big 2.0 really is, in terms of not just of the delivery and what the sort of gameplay that we're delivering with that, but also in terms of just all the background technology we've been working on for months, if not years, in terms of getting the stuff to this sort of place. It's a huge step, because now once 2.0 is out there, building on that, you literally have the structure of what is Star Citizen just right there with 2.0, and then you're just building on from that kind of stuff. And so that's the big thing for us, is just in terms of getting this out there for everybody, getting that structure in there, and then you basically just building onto that and making it larger and larger going forward.
It's very much like if you're building a Lego house and you start with that kind of green board that you build on top of. 2.0 is that green board. It's what we're.
Yeah, it's a bit more than the green board, but yes.
Yeah. Well, it has some stuff on it already.
Yeah. You're starting to see how the house would take shape, basically.
I saw a question about ship signatures. Are they going to have to play a bigger role in 2.0?
To be honest, I'd have to see. I think we've increased. In Arena Commander, we turned off a bunch of scanning and stuff because it didn't make sense when you just go in and you're fighting like Vandal right away. In this, I believe you actually have to target to sort of get a signature on someone. I definitely know that there's a lot more sort of scanning and signature work is going to come in, and will be allowing you to sort of jam and spoof and do all that sort of stuff. So not all of that's in 2.0. We've sort of enabled some of the stuff that we already had in, and that will be sort of ongoing. But definitely there'll be a lot more sort of like longer range kind of activities happening in 2.0. So I think combat fundamentally will be different than what people are used to in Arena Commander, and there'll be a lot more sort of exploration and going around. And so, I mean, to be honest with you, it's awesome. I can't wait to just sort of like let it out there and kind of see what you guys do, because our QA, with QA we're very focused on, oh, here's a bug, here's a problem, track it down. So the QA isn't really as focused on just playing. So I'm really interested in sort of seeing kind of what people get up to, because it also helps inform us of what areas we need to adjust and make better, or it even gives us some ideas of how to make it cooler. So.
And I know we will have some. I know that we're launching the Warlock, which has some of the EMP signature stuff with its build.
Yeah, no, totally. Your ship, you take ships down with it. It's pretty cool. So I think people will enjoy it. There's just going to be a lot more things to do.
We've had a lot of folks ask if what happens in the PTU is permanent. Are they going to lose their ships testing right now?
No. There's not. So we're I mean, in the game itself, if you have a fight and it gets blown up, what will happen is you will respawn back in Port Olisar. You'll wake up in your bed again, and you'll go out there and you'll be able to call up one of your ships again to go back out. Yeah. So it's sort of like it will be sort of a super accelerated cycle of what would really happen in the PU, because probably would take a bit longer to be doing all this stuff in the final version of the PU, but it's kind of along those lines.
But it is about. I mean, what we're trying to do is with 2.0 is on with the Crusader map is we're trying to create this situation where you are going to play it much more like you will do in the final game.
Yeah.
Because if you go out there and you build up your ship and stuff, if you get damaged, then that's why we have repair. You want to go to the nearest repair station. If you're low on fuel, you better get refueled up. Otherwise, you run out of fuel and basically won't be able to go anywhere. And so and if you get killed, you get killed. And so we respawn you. So it's not going to be like Arena Commander where you just blow up and it respawns you there and then. There will be a detriment. So we want people to play and be precious about their ships, be precious about their person, and play like you would if it means something to you.
Yeah, a group of people are like camping out trying to own the Port Career, and you're going in with your friends to take them out of there, then obviously you get blown up and respawn there. It doesn't help out. So, and we'll be introducing more of the heal mechanics and sort of reviving and the live stuff. That's all part of one of the big reasons why we're doing this sort of 2.0. It's why we're calling it alpha. It is really the framework for the bigger game.
I've seen one person who has been asking about the two-seater Avenger. We originally imagined the two-seater Avenger as being the trainer for Squadron 42. We've gone a different way for introducing you how to fly the ship in that game, so it does not. It did not have a particular role that we could use it for right now. It's still, in the back of our minds. If there's a demand out there for a two-seater Avenger trainer, let us know. But it's not one of the current variants. Let's see what else. Will there be an NDA on PTU 2.0? I know sometimes when we do a PTU release, we say no streaming, that sort of thing.
I have no idea actually.
I'm sure that's probably. I mean, Will's probably dealing with that, I guess. So, but it's like, but we're I mean, at the moment, I think, we're basically. I'm not sure either.
Yeah. I mean, I'm honestly not sure. I don't think there's we have any asset issues in it, so sometimes we don't want to have people reveal it before other people, like the whole community, can experience something. But in this case, I don't think that's the case. I think it's really just going to be about our stress testing performance and finding server crashes, just because it's a much more complicated situation. And essentially we stand up, like instead of ending in a game, like the server stands up like it does on ArcCorp. So we stand up a Crusader server and people join that server, and that server will stand up until it falls over. So people can come and go into that server, and this is one of the reasons why we want to do it, is we want to really work and try to find the stability issues, because in some ways the game is as persistent as long as the server lasts and people will come and join it.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, you could go in. Basically, you go in, and if you enter and you keep on going all day, you could be in that server all day. With people coming and going.
We've been doing that internally with QA. Yeah. So we'll see. I'm sure there's going to be a bazillion more crashes that you guys find than we managed to on our QA. All right.
I think this is another one we may not have an answer for, but size of the client for 2.0. Does anyone know?
Well, I think the download's in the 30 gig range. I don't think it's. At least that seems to be the pack files when I download it for the work builds we've had. So it's not. If that's what they're asking for.
Yeah, I think they're worried about it being huge. Similar to what they've seen already.
No, we've done a better job of not giving a bunch of assets that aren't in the game, which is what we were doing a lot before. Have some better compression. So I think it's in the 30 gig range. So
we asked about the Freelancer 2.0. The Freelancer is not going to be flyable when 2.0 kicks off, but folks in the UK are working on it right now, actually.
Yep, now we're working on it. Yeah, absolutely. It's been working on it for a while as well, and
it'll be the next multi-cruise ship
that we are
going. That and the Vanguard will be the two next multi-cruise ships
that we're going to release. Yeah, and that we are obviously working on to try and get those done for the for the next updates.
Yep.
And if you check, I believe, last week's ATV, there's some of the concept work they've been doing for the new interiors, the Freelancer, which is looking really good. Let's see, when will the new SciTech HOTAS be available? We're going to kick off pre-sales for it next month, and I believe they're aiming for mid-next year for the actual setup.
I would have to find. I would have to get but I heard the April or May would be kind of when it would be delivered if we start the sale then.
But expect
don't
more
quote me.
Details about that in the December live stream. Let's see. We've had a lot of folks asking, what's the timeline for introducing more people to the PTU? It's not something we can give you right now because we have to get 1,000 people in there. See how it breaks.
My guess would be, just in terms of how it works, is we'll go in the first probably couple of days. Our sort of our hardcore pioneers will probably suffer a little bit more, and then they'll help us find the issues, we'll fix them, and then as the issues, as the sort of first few issues of the first 2 days and so forth will sort of go away, and we have more, then we'll open it to more people, and we'll just add more and more.
And I think
to it.
it'll also be about concurrency, but at some point we'll just go.
And at some point
we'll just go live
because
we don't want to slow
once
it
we have
down.
enough. The thing is, once we have enough people in the PTU, we've got enough servers going, and we have enough stuff happening, then we wouldn't actually extend to PTU. We'll just go completely live.
Yeah.
So it's just a question of when we feel like the servers are stable, when we've got out some of the most some of the worst sort of bugs that people are finding and so forth, and people are having a good experience in there, then we'll go. So my guess is first few days, there'll be some issues, and then hopefully after about a week or so, we'll be getting it to everybody.
Well, one question we keep getting is, do we have any new footage to share?
Okay, so we're planning to do a full-on cool gameplay trailer when we launch 2.0 live properly. So we aren't there yet, and we're kind of in the process. Although we do have some stuff that the UK QA team and a few of the designers were playing around with some stuff, and they sort of put together a work in progress thing, which isn't going to be our thing, the trailer that we'll launch with, because there's a lot more gameplay and action, but
it's just more kind of stuff they just put together. They just in the last couple of days.
Yeah, just kind of like doing some stuff and trying out some camera angles and stuff like that. So we can run that, so you can sort of see a little bit of it, and why don't we do that?
Let's do it.
This one can't work. So that's what we would have posted. Having eliminated.
All right. Okay. So that was just work in progress. There's going to be a much cooler trailer finished in about a week or so when we launch the live. But that was kind of put together by QA playing actually over in the UK, having some fun. And we're really excited, everyone here. We got the whole LA office in. So wave. Everyone here has been working hard on 2.0. Everyone in the UK has been working hard. Everyone in Germany has been working hard. Everyone in Austin's been working hard. And we'd all like to thank you guys for supporting and backing us. It's an incredible journey, and we're making a game of our dreams, and I'm pretty sure your dreams. I know most of the people here have always wanted to play this game for as long as they played space games. So you know, it's amazing to be to gotten to this point, and we're incredibly thankful, and we're looking forward to seeing what you guys do with 2.0 and the stuff we do beyond then. So hey, Dennis, come in. We're missing you. It's Dennis, our amazing IT. He makes all our machines run here. He was just, I think, you know, we're almost about ready to move to our new place. So we're moving tomorrow. So there's a lot of prep that's been doing for that. We won't be so jammed in. As you can tell, we're all kind of very crammed in here. But we'll through this week, I think we'll be having sort of Q&As and various reveals happening.
We'll be talking about all the new ships. Plenty of content coming in the next week.
Good. So stay tuned for that. Thank you for being with the live stream for us. And I think from LA, let's say goodbye. Bye, guys.
Let's get a happy Thanksgiving, too.
Unless you're Canadian.
All right.